on the same token, we need to talk about the issues if we are to impact this nation and nations abroad. So basically, that's what we're going to be talking about, e-commerce in Sierra Leone tonight. And the good thing is that Pastor AKK said last time that when he was in college, he used to speak to students. Now he's talking to intellectuals, which is great. So tonight, I really have the privilege of our brethren who are going to help us as we look at this subject. We have our brother James Kiawu, and sent me just a little bit of a little bio, and it was quite interesting that God has blessed people that we are not even aware of. And about 2 or 3 lines, I will just probably just read it very carefully. Of course, he's an economist with the U.S. Department of Labor, and he was formerly an adjunct professor of economics at Howard University. I didn't even know that I have my own. You understand? That brother is now a professor. I never knew. So we're so blessed. And he's a deacon. He's not only a professor, but he's a born again. His name is in the Lamb's Book of Life. And he's Outreach Ministries International. He has PhD in economics. So, brother, we thank God for your life. We thank God what God has achieved, what help you to achieve. And we really appreciate you tonight. And with him, we have brother Foday Deen-Conteh. Okay, good. Let me carry on. Together with brother James, we have brother Foday Deen-Conteh, who is a certified public accountant with the MBA with extensive corporate finance and accounting experience. He's a veteran in the U.S. Army and presently a doctoral candidate in accounting. He's the chairman of the Accounting and Audit Standard Review Committee of the WSCPA. So we are quite blessed. This is not just a Christian organization, but it's a Christian organization with a difference.
Yes.
And God is building a people. We have engineers, we have lawyers, we have academics, we have economists, we have accountants. So it's a Christian with a difference. So I don't want to make the point. I want us to go straight to the symposium tonight, and I believe that God will help us to ensure that we do justice to this subject. And I want us to invite our brothers as they come and take over the discussion. God bless you, sirs.
Thank you, Dr. Koma. Thank you very much, and thank you for all the brethren on the line. Without much ado, also want to thank God for brother Foday at the other end. We hope that we will get a meaningful discussion. Again, the topic, me and James Kiawu, and the topic tonight now, e-commerce, a gateway to opportunities in Sierra Leone. The nation, we want to look at e-commerce, the potential of e-commerce, and then the impact of e-commerce in the kingdom of God and in the nation as a whole. And so, for the other side, we will talk first, and then not there for actually for present all the ideas, and we don't have all the ideas, but we go on from most people for facilitate the discussion. And so we go begin and then open up the discussion to the audience. But we discuss essentially capture, we discuss, make sure that we stay on track or capture the discussion into four broad areas, which we type of the steps. The acronym we create our steps, the STEP. So the S really stands for the state of e-commerce in Sierra Leone, the S, and then the T, whether the technological requirements for e-commerce, for a beneficial and functional e-commerce, and then the E, which is really the core of this discussion, the economic impact of e-commerce. So you can look at E for B, also the opportunities. But we're not going to say stop. We're not going to use STOP. We'll say STEP. So look at the E as O as well. So, and then finally we get the policy discussion, which can policy the nation, the people, and the industry that can be able for more people for grow the e-commerce in Sierra Leone. And so in those four broad categories, then now this how for capture all we contribution them, and then we go able to see who start with the head. Generally, so before we actually continue, I go on for Foday, maybe Foday get a few things for saying. So I will hand over to Foday, Deen-Conteh.
Okay, so as Brother James just talked, we want to facilitate this discussion here, and we not get all the answer, but we believe say a lot of people in the panel right now we be able for bring ideas then together for make we get a good discussion going on. So as we go according to the step process of discussion, I want people and they also think about, say, let me think about the markets, the supply chain, the customers, and how this impact the church. And also, there are some buzzwords when they go on out here right now, you know, and people in there, when they on this forum, when they're involved in e-commerce, we want to bring live experience and make we not just stick into theory, but how things they happen on the ground. And we can compare how things they happen here and how soon we can able to share their ideas then into Salon. And one of the buzzword them out there and distribution channels, you know, when I look at Amazon, Alibaba, you know, we can see how then distribution channels there, the impact Salon, and which now we own local channels and where we get that Salon right now. Another buzzword we did at the e-commerce where people in the talk is omni-channel. The different channels and mediums the way e-commerce they happen, a computer desktop, a mobile device, telephone, or a brick and mortar store, you know, and while make we talk about the areas and the one of the big areas are the payment technology systems. You know, let me look at what's together Salon and how effective and how they help people learn the plus and minuses there, make we talk about that. And about all of this is employment. You know, employment, now the thing was we pray for the people living in the back home. And we believe say how things they go on at the country right now with all of the good things and what they see they go on, that it don't make the process lap, you know, for let e-commerce happen and for let regulations they happen and make people we protect the buyers then. And at the same time, we protect the interest of the sellers then. And the last thing of all of this, how we, the church, how the church can leverage these. How can we leverage these into the church so we can foster the word of God? And that's I get for saying.
Thank you very much for it. Before we just open up the discussion, I think you lay a very good foundation for the state of e-commerce. Many times we on this side here, when we are e-commerce, they come to mind now the platform them way they facilitate e-commerce like Amazon, Alibaba, as rightly say. One of the areas that we need to focus also the payment system, the infrastructure we'll get at Sierra Leone. Looking at the role of the bank, for example, looking at the depth of the use of debit cards and credit cards, looking at the access to broadband, to internet, so people then get phone and we can able to do transactions. And so we might not be to the level of Amazon or Alibaba. We might not even have that access here, but we get localized systems that come them where they actually make e-commerce in the sub-region. A very now British only, for example, we get around the way widespread. Many countries they use them as sub-region this. But even as we move, as we continue to discuss, you know, one of the things, the focus of the discussion is that the impact, the opportunities for the church and the nation. And as we can commonly read, you know, as goes the nation, so goes the church, and vice versa. We made a type of established causality by any means, but we know that there's a bilateral feedback between the church and the nation. If you get high on the church, now the nation, obviously it gets spillover effect at the church. And so, and the goal, and also when we say the church or the kingdom or the body of Christ, we know they say that the body of Christ for commercialize gospel. That's not the goal. We say that the body of Christ monetize the gospel, but that how the body of Christ be able to use this platform to essentially advance the kingdom. You know, scripture says, money answers all things. And so the church mission reach out or do outreach for win souls, for send missionaries them, for even for give and support missions. The church therefore use this platform. If the church therefore create jobs, if you get church therefore able for accomplish the Great Commission, it needs a solid financial base for able to do that one day. And we get a high unemployment rate at the churches. Then we get people that way knowledgeable as far as let the concern, but they're able to monetize their knowledge, they're able to monetize their ideas. And so we want to look at how the church can begin to deploy this tool here. We're able to get people that are employed, how the church is able to get people that for monetize the talent that they get. People that never can very well. People that never can able to write books, can able to write literature at the church. People that never want to support other missions them, but they're not able to use them through the year. How the church is able to harness this great potential of the e-commerce platform then for accomplishing the Great Commission. And so again, after the close, let's look at the church and the nation in the context of employment, where e-commerce creates the tax revenue base, how the government is able to generate more tax revenue for developed infrastructure. With the Sinaya, for example, inside Foday, out of the country, how other countries can use the resources, the tax where would they pay, how do they use that for develop the public schools and the road network, how Salon will unlock the potential of e-commerce for generate more tax revenue, for create market access to small scale entrepreneurs, for create innovation, for also even affect the GDP growth of the nation. We want to look at all of them both as a nation and also as a church. And so I think at this point in time, we want to open up to the general audience. If somebody get a word or two for say within this context of steps, S being for the state of e-commerce, E being for the technological infrastructure, E being for the economic impact, and P being for the policy initiatives that they are not able for that for grow e-commerce.
So as people as with the Carrefour can talk, what me and Brother James talk about is if any people that can ask questions, for let somebody respond to a question, if you at least take 1 minute, just 1 minute for cut you answer short, where somebody asks a question, somebody will answer the question, 1 minute, for response time. So by that, we can give many people a more chance for talk, and we can spread into many areas. But if you want to go into detail, one more thing talk, we will table that idea there, and if we know say we get more time, then we'll come back to that person there for me to go into detail. So now the floor is open, and
for me, I want to start with the question.
Okay.
Okay. I greatly applaud the idea of the symposium and the acronym put together. It will serve as a guiding framework for guided discussion. But what I was hoping in the process of it was to be able to so that we can have a simple definition of really what e-commerce is all about. Okay, for some of we know go get a detailed understanding of what e-commerce is, what the EV stand, what the commerce they're about, and then before we actually delve into how we get for use them, how we will bring policies around them, how we will see impact. So basically, in short, just for respect the time bracket, what is e-commerce?
Okay. So
it's a question.
Anybody did at the group at the front of consider Andy? So I think in basic terms, e-commerce, electronic commerce.
Yeah, I mean, okay.
Okay, go ahead, Pastor.
Yes, I've been just one for sorry, I've been putting my mic off for a brief while. I may try to get some additional information from somebody else because I want to make some contributions. I think basically when we talk about electronic commerce, basically I should say we all one way or the other every day we buy and sell. We buy different things there. We buy electronic gadgets, we buy household groceries, we buy things the way we eat. We buy things them way we wear, things them for we households. So that process of buying and selling, now we talk about now. But for salon, and Brother Kombabin post one video where one brother do we be very appropriate. Where I don't know how many of we watch them on the phone on this we Impact Nation WhatsApp forum. But he explained we don't happen, we don't the impacts alone. I should say the panelists them. But simply, and I should say some of we, almost of we all now kind of, I should say the panelists and they assume say we all kind of understand, know the basic of what e-commerce does. But now the electronic means plenty of we they embark on buying things today online. Like we were at the US and some in UK and some other places there. It is not like right now you buy something on Amazon and sometime the next day or 2 days after at most don't reach you. So but then they nothing for the happen for like salon or if it happen the scale at which in other forms and the way sometimes we'll talk about. But just for limit them to that answering of that question, and that's I should say they discuss right now.
So maybe sometimes me can just throw in something into this, you know, the way I was see e-commerce, you know, traditionally, somebody they go, so guys, we decide for talking that Creole because we know say this symposium here we record that and the beneficiaries them we target na salon people them. So if anybody go able watch that recording there, we don't have to speak English or have to speak in the medium way everybody in a salon can understand. That's why we only talk Creole, you know. And when somebody set up a business, somebody
that advice that we mix some, let's do some switching of one language medium or the other, because if you really want for let it get far reaching effect, we're going to have to post it on our YouTube channel and some access it who are not Sierra Leone.
Okay, so when somebody decided to set up a business, the first thing that people normally talk about is I have something to sell. And traditionally, what people normally do is people normally build a building. That's where brick and mortar comes from. And the theory behind that is I believe I have something that somebody else wants. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put that product on the shelf. And I hope that people come and look for that product. Well, we already know about demand and supply. You know, you want to get something and somebody want to sell something. And at a point, those who have something to sell and those who have something to buy, they normally come together. Traditionally, that process has been going on, and that process is really slower. With e-commerce, you know, with technology, electronic commerce or internet commerce, you know. So when this started, there were two definitions, I-commerce, e-commerce, but e-commerce became the dominated word. But originally it was internet way of doing business, internet commerce, you know. So what happened, it started where business to business started doing that. Then from business to business, and it started from a business to consumer. So that's where we can hear about the buzzword B2B, B2C, then consumer to consumer, where you have C2C, or a consumer doing business, doing trade, electronic commerce with another business, and then you have government administration. So the way how I look at all of this, if I want to tie this to a religious perspective, is where you look at and said, okay, I'm going to build a church and hope people will come and I will build a congregation. But now with electronic commerce, you find a middle ground where we call the internet, you know, and then we have cloud technology. All of these technologies around, you know, where people will be able to look for something at a faster pace. You don't have to get out of your home. You know, you can do business sitting on your couch, laying in bed, and you can order everything you want to order, from the clothes you wear to the food you eat to movies and everything. So you can't leave your house. You can't leave your house. You will get everything you want. But that brings us to what we call distribution channel. So even though that technology is there, we all have heard about cloud technology. That brick and mortar is still going to be there. People have to take physically that product and deliver that product to the consumer. I will stop for now.
Okay, so one of the, obviously, thank you very much for that, Foday. And one of the major benefits of e-commerce anywhere, whether it's in Sierra Leone or Europe or in Asia, is the access, quick access to market that it provides. So with e-commerce, you can be in Sierra Leone, you can be an entrepreneur, you can be somebody who is selling a product or a service, and you don't have the limitations that you normally have within the borders of Sierra Leone. So e-commerce essentially creates market access so that you can be in Sierra Leone and have your product actually sold in other countries, whether it's in Liberia, whether it's in Ghana, whether it's even China or the US. And so the access to the market is really one of the biggest opportunities that e-commerce provides. Whether it's in the context of a church, for example, well, in business or in economics, we talk about market access. Maybe it's about soul access, soul as in SUL. So the goal of the church is to reach souls. And so even then, e-commerce provides a platform how you can empower part of the church, how you can empower people to go out on mission, how you can actually monetize the talents that you have in congregation, how you can monetize that and be able to be givers, be able to support other ministries. E-commerce provides opportunities. And these are areas that we have not tapped into, whether it's in the church, whether it's as a nation, we have not been able to tap into these areas of opportunities. And so that's really why I think that is the whole idea of this discussion. And I think we would like to open up to the audience. If you have a lot of, and then you have a question, we can find people to respond to those questions.
Hello, can I say a few words, please? Hello.
Yes.
Hello.
Yeah, just a few words. I believe we've had a. Thank you very much to the the leading panelists. I think we've got a very helpful and succinct overview of e-commerce, and I think the whole purpose of the discussion is to see how the church can leverage, the benefits of e-commerce, and also as a country in Sierra Leone as well. So what we need to focus now is why is the church not, why e-commerce is there. We're using it abroad, UK, as we rightly mentioned, USA and other parts of the world. Why is it that Sierra Leone is locked out of e-commerce? So those are the challenges. What are the challenges? How do we unlock those challenges? I think those are the major things we should focus on. We've got a very good succinct overview of what it is now. So what are the challenges? How can we unlock those challenges? That e-commerce. I mean, with all the benefits that comes with e-commerce, why is Sierra Leone not part of it, and how can the church leverage that potential? I think that should be the focus of the discussion, if I'm right.
Well, okay. Thomas Alpha here. One of the things I wanted to now, James and Brother Foday, I am particularly concerned that I hope we don't end up going ahead of you in the method you wanted to do your presentation. But having noted that as a possible thing that one should look for, let me hasten to say what I believe. Definitely, we cannot say it will not be very correct to say e-commerce is definitely Leone is doing e-commerce. We know of the money transfer things. It used to be, okay, I think AfriCell has that. Orange, which used to be, what was it called before Orange now? Airtel Money. Airtel Money has been operating. So those are all forms of e-commerce. Definitely the pace at which we have it here, or we have it in other parts of the world, i.e. the UK, the United States, China, and other places. And notably things like PayPal, the Visa and MasterCard platforms where you can easily do business by just swiping your card, you know. These are all, some of them are in Freetown even. But the real problem is, or the real question is, how much of it? And I want to venture to say one of the biggest challenges that we have is the very basic platform for internet services in the country. Internet, just the basic. Just take for example, our sister before we even started the meeting, she was struggling to connect, and I know a number of other people in Freetown who want to connect on these meetings that we host online. But the internet is just not good. It's just not strong. Many of them would have to subscribe to a bit more expensive forms, like those ones that offer Wi-Fi capabilities, for them to be able to get a bit of strong. But your basic phone, as I would use my phone, even if I were driving now, I'll be driving and I'm talking to somebody on the phone. I do it all the time. I'm driving and I'm talking to somebody on video chats and all of that. It's not happening. So that basic internet, first of all, because everything else, the commerce part of things actually rides on the platform of having a very solid internet connectivity before you can even do business with it. Let me stop that far for now.
Okay.
So what I think we're gonna do is, if somebody want to respond to Pastor Tom's question or discussion, we don't want to just keep branching. So, is anybody who want to respond to what Pastor Tom just said? Because we don't want to branch out, or else we're just going to lose focus, you know.
Yes, I said too. Just to add to what Pastor Tom was just saying, sometimes normally so thinking it can, like how you talk and almost so it can difficult for most of the time we want for connect way and not saying I'm meeting them, and it's very, very important. I will get for budget myself, forget enough credit on my phone, forget enough MB for make her able for connect well. So it really for some of we it can difficult this internet issue. But now with the CC plenty even at the what are they observe now in Sierra Leone, and they say even the banks then now they go into this online thing. So thinking it's necessary for they get then kind here around where strong internet they may, and not say where somebody gets good internet and a very strong one. It able for do things very, very easy, and anything you want for do, because I don't know, it go be just smooth. It go be just smooth. So it's a point, as Pastor Tom was just saying, it's a point that I just want to add to. Thank you.
Thank you. And I think a very good point is that James, we don't look at the number in this. The volume is very, very low. We look at the ranking, tier countries. So where we have for internet users, 3 out of 100 individuals in Sierra Leone have access. So you only have 100 people together. 5 of them using internet. So compare that to Ghana, where out of every 100 persons, you have 24 individuals with access to internet. Sierra Leone has only 3 individuals, 3 out of 100, and so that's very low. Also going further, even to East Africa, for example, in Kenya, for example, out of every 100 individuals you can get together, you have 45 people, almost half of them have access to internet. Compared to Sierra Leone, where we have about 3 out of 100. So that is one of the big challenges we face in Sierra Leone, the access to internet or broadband. So in fact, there are metrics. We have metrics that measure e-commerce readiness. We saw many of those metrics, and we are not performing very well. Even the role of banks, how many the payment solutions, how many individuals use debit cards in Sierra Leone? How many individuals have access? What is the depth of the use of the median of payments in Sierra Leone? It is very low. What is the financing? What is the access to finance for people in Sierra Leone? So we have those metrics, and each one of them we look at them, and Sierra Leone ranks really low as far as e-commerce technology, e-commerce infrastructure is concerned. And so, if we are going to grow e-commerce in Sierra Leone, these are areas. These are fundamentals. We have to be able to have the infrastructure for internet access. People have to have access to internet. You cannot engage in electronic commerce without access to the internet. And so that's really fundamental. Also, look at the postal system. I mean, you are in Accra, or maybe you are in London. If you buy something online, you expect delivery to your address. Sierra Leone, compared to peer countries, we are performing relatively well. How many times or the rate at which we have mail delivery at home? Sierra Leone scores very well on that. We score around 90 actually, compared to other countries like Guinea or even Liberia, which are very low on those scores. So we have our postal system, which is relatively doing better, but we can do more in that area. Maybe not only the fact that mail is getting delivered at home, but what is the security situation? What is the risk associated with that delivery? What is the risk? And in fact, going back to the video that we saw, so as I said, that video that we actually saw about e-commerce was the motivation for this discussion. There are things that we found in that email to not be entirely true. There are loopholes in that video, and maybe putting research on some of those. You can actually you can engage in e-commerce on the big platforms from Sierra Leone. But again, as we have established, when you do not have the quality of internet access or even broadband, that is going to be an issue. So it is not so much that Amazon is blocking Sierra Leone. Amazon does not even block the nation. Amazon and other platforms look at the risk index. They look at the risk that in the industries pose, individuals pose in those nations. If you are in Sierra Leone and you purchase an item online, and the risk of receiving your item is very, very low, that is a factor. That is a problem, and you don't want to be a merchant selling online, and you are having to do refunds every time in this one country. And so there are risk measures that they look at, and to be able to qualify nations for e-commerce or for delivery of items. So hopefully we will be able to go into that. Some of the comments, some of the statements that we have made in that video that we all probably saw about whether in fact we have access to Amazon or YouTube or PayPal or Alibaba from Sierra Leone point of view. Sierra Leone is not bad from access. We have individuals. There are some socio-political issues around that. In Sierra Leone, if you look at the bulk of e-commerce, it's heavily skewed, heavily undertaken by the Lebanese. Some of us call them Syrians, and whatever they do out representing Sierra Leone, their activities out of the country affect e-commerce in Sierra Leone, affect our ability to be able to engage and to participate on the platforms like Amazon and Alibaba and many of the other players that we have in e-commerce. So hopefully we'll be able to touch on those issues that we face as a nation, why we are not being able to have access to these platforms beyond internet access.
Okay. Can I ask a question? Hello?
Yes.
Yeah. The question I want to ask, based on that video, because action is the main thing. Are there given that you guys have the what should I call it? You are experts on that area, the economic perspective, commercial perspective. Are there pragmatic steps we can take to address this? Is it that you guys can be in touch, because we are a group and I believe we have influence, you know? Is there a way you can get in touch with like the Minister of Trade or the President or somebody, you know, at the top of the pile, who can effect these changes, so that if this thing is affecting us, which has the ability to ruin our ability to trade and things, are there pragmatic steps you can take or suggest to people in power, so that they can, without wasting time, get down to the bottom of things and deal with this thing once and for all? I mean, decisively. Are there pragmatic steps?
Well, I can begin for answer that, you know, say yes, you know, there are steps where any administration can take. But in order for you to take steps, you therefore understand the root cause. Why make them category of people in there, then find themselves at that list? Now that me and Brother James made the talk, you know, a while ago, but we say we don't want to make that the center of this mission. Then we go move into a political land. You know, we want to let we stay in the church. But I will just touch a little bit on this, but I'm not going into detail. And I want to we make that video there just for saying we want to find an answer to that. There's a lot more that people in there for do. And other administrations don't they look at that? You know? This is something bigger than just bigger than just for say e-commerce na salon. It has a global reach, you know. If you watch the category of people and where they did, these are people that wouldn't get relationship with banks, them, you know, when they're in Lebanon and in the Middle East, and then banks that they, for some reason, they happen to fend themselves. Anybody will do transaction with them banks and they, you find yourself now the United States government get their own criteria and see what they look for. So the target not to salon people, you know, but like, you know, but within you know, Pastor Karim just talked is there are steps where we government can take and where we as citizens can take. You know what you call there? It called fairness and ethics in doing business, full disclosure. You know, if we begin to preach ethics and all that kind of thing and awareness, maybe some people in there they will stop. For example, the video states say you're not going to be able to use PayPal from Salon. You know, a member of we group, we're not Apple for January right now. In the evidence say yes, somebody able to use PayPal from Salon. So we counter within that video they say. So
okay.
Salon, we not get a bad reputation. They not block Salon, they block individuals then. You know, and then business they protect their interest, you know, and also see where we can able to go pull that names and day overnight. It will take time. Okay, anybody else want to add something?
Yeah, let me make a point. Quickly with regards to thank you very much for putting light on this subject. With regard to that issue where you raised, I think 2 years ago, make a step for register an SSL certificate, basically socket layer certificate. And when I tried for decline, so basically I call the company and of course I said, but why you decline me? Though the website registered, you know, done as a loan. They said, so when I call the company, then tell me say categorically we do on a list, on a ban list, and they're not able to register the SSL certificate. Basically, SSL certificate now for protect you your website and your website. So basically, what I end up for do, I end up my UK address. And until I use my UK address, I'll be able to register the certificate. So I begin ask, and then go to the website, look around and see same the ban list. Again, I begin asking, but you know why we do also most of the bank, they don't do business. But that's really scary. I'm not able to do simple transaction. Then we like say it might not be today, it might not be tomorrow, but maybe in future, something needs to be done for take we off some of them listed there.
Okay. So let me answer that. Make we just take that exact example, then we gonna know how e-commerce work. You day salon, you want to order something from Amazon, and as a business, so media represent the business side. You know, as a business, when you want to buy something from me, you know, when you want to buy something from me, now the responsibility for make sure say the product reach the person we buy and the consumer. You know, well, there are track records we all know for the postal systems in South Africa. You know, e-commerce platform, they work in a nation with high integrity. If that nation they get we with the America store, if you go open the mail, you open up the fine where the government put some people they go jail just for opening somebody mail, or you go inside my mailbox, you open yourself and I able to take your picture, you will go sleep in a jail for that. You know, and me the 20 minutes alone, I know many times there was somebody that sent me package. You're gonna go to the post office thinking I'm gonna get some. But when you track them, it don't reach salon, but you know they even them yours. You know, so as a business, I am sitting in Amazon and you order for me. We get what we call business risk assessment managers there, where no fault of the own, it's all business guys. If they find out say they don't categorize salon as risk, as a high risk, what do they mean? Because when you buy from me, you buy a product for me, $1,000, and that $1,000 product say not reach, but it disappear along the way. Then that means to say now Amazon therefore bond that product there. Now we therefore eat that product there. Now the buzzword and there. So a lot of things they was so where I say we see now, because then people there they don't make them, they don't put a model, a picture of we with a salon, they don't paint we. So now we therefore do a better job, and then we try for then we get a new paint how other people then go portray we. And if we get a better paint, for example, I mean tell I say Brother James, the statistics of e-commerce. The United States alone is pretty close to $1 trillion. China is coming up to $1 trillion. The whole of West Africa e-commerce, $17 billion. You know, we're talking about annually. You know, then the whole of South Africa alone, because they get a little bit of higher integrity, they alone, now $17 billion. The whole Middle East e-commerce is also about $18 billion. So when we are looking at e-commerce right now, and when we look at Europe, these guys are coming to huge whopping like 500 to 600 billion dollars. Sorry. So that means e-commerce they go well in the northern part of the North America, South America, Asia, and Europe well, but you know they go well in Africa and the Middle East. You know, but
can I give a quick contribution, please?
Yes.
Okay. We are really grateful for the diversified knowledge around this table, especially with regards to this discussion. I am personally appreciative of the experience that you guys are bringing to the table. It's viewed as the mature scenario, Sierra Leone, which is the focus here by every means, is not yet there. Quite the number of the items basically that you are identifying now is at, you can say, a mature stage. You're looking at the risks. While Sierra Leone is just looking at the moment, just the basic infrastructure, as Thomas was initially alluding to. Just for a quick update, maybe we will not be aware. Today, you will talk about risk, but the underlying platform that is very much responsible for this transaction, okay, it's at its infancy in Sierra Leone, for example. One of the major things, basically, I think, which was introduced by the previous government, and then I think it was even executed before they left power, was to implement the World Bank project for submarine cables. This exists in Sierra Leone today, which is, in terms of infrastructure, is only the transmission part of the platform that is required. That notwithstanding, you need the bandwidth capacity, okay, the internet bandwidth, call it IP transit technically, to allow faster internet. Today, there are sufficient, I can say that with all certainty that basically
Yes.
there is sufficient internet available, okay, in Sierra Leone. The problem is what? The last mile delivery. The reason why, for example, my sister Aisatu will probably struggle is because the connectivity to her phone. Okay, we have operators in between, and I struggle to believe Sister Nana was part of that particular project, that World Bank project, where they were responsible for ensuring that there's a transmission backbone that exists all over Sierra Leone. And this particular action was already taken, this particular project was already implemented, okay, in some of the other countries, for example, in Guinea. Guinea, where I am actually, by the way, we enjoy relatively faster internet. This is simply because, yes, the bandwidth capacity, which is like the MP, is available, and the network of the operators are enhanced in such a way that they are able to deliver this capacity. What Sierra Leone lacks today, yeah, the platform is not mature, I must say, which are just the fundamentals. Just to tie into the policy side of the step, meaning there is already an opportunity. You guys have seen the mature impact, okay, the mature operation of an e-commerce. Based on the information that I have just shared, what are the type of policies that we believe, okay, that we can suggest, not as a group, or probably even with colleagues on an informal basis, to ensure that the basics that we are actually talking about moves faster, okay, to the point where we can adequately start using the e-commerce platform that have small businesses. Amazon will not take up on this, guys. I was hoping that quite a number of the discussion I will be having, so some of the discussion I will be having, is asking questions: how do we bring already these other guys that have not taken their businesses online? Today, I'm not aware. I've not been in Sierra Leone. I've not been stable in Sierra Leone for quite a couple of years, about 11 years now. But some of the questions I strongly want to believe we should be asking: do we have any local platform, okay, that is trying as best as possible to have this online transaction? Like Thomas rightly said, there are a couple of channels, okay, for payments. You know, this mobile money payment. Even with the banks, as somebody earlier on mentioned, for the past 3 months, they buy me laptop, they buy me telephone. The guy where they go take the stuff to, I just ask him for your Echo Bank number. Okay, I transfer him money. I know they take physical cash, you know, for do all the transactions. I mean, this brings a lot rapidity in transaction, and its underlying benefits. But as a contribution and a question at the same time, how we could tie, I mean, based on the information we get now, we don't say the transmission side, when at the backbone side of it, the submarine cable exists. The bandwidth is available, okay, but the delivery by the operators. So waiting and waiting, we go. I mean, what are the policy push? What I believe say we will do, okay, or contribute to make the government pay attention to something and put measures in place, even for like a push the operators then for make them actually make available this capacity at the disposal of the ordinary user. Until that thing and there happen, okay, all the jolly, the merits of e-commerce, like what they allude to, will be a lot far-fetched as it is now.
One of the things, Tom Alpha here again. One of the things where I've been at one point where it been there in my mind, and long before I think say we go bring up a discussion of this meeting. It been there on my mind because I talk to people where I get interactions with people where know a little bit about IT business na salon. I've been privy for no say the just as Patrick is saying the whole fiber optic thing landing in Sierra Leone. We don't hear say we don't land, but some of us kept wondering which makes up to now so by countries, fasting. Anyway, to the point where I really
Sister Olivia can help us much on that. Nothing deploy.
Olivia, I respond before I finish.
Just let Louis.
The cable the optic, candle the optic.
I can't
make everybody good afternoon or good evening or good evening.
Yeah.
My name na Ali. Actually, I want to thank Olivia for inviting me to this forum, Naya, and I really appreciate you now for talking about this subject, Naya. Now me been do that video.
Okay.
Yeah. Now me been do that video, and all of the things that we don't touch on. I mean, then I know it's dynamic cannot be able to contribute earlier.
Okay.
All of the things that we don't talk na valid issues and we relate to this context now. But the big question and the first steps I think we need to take as a group now for ask the questions why.
Okay.
And the why probably will go to
either like 10, 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah, the why for either go to we policy makers them Nasalo. We're not necessarily policy makers them, but we bank governor at the first person way if we approach as a group for be the person for approach and ask from a financial regulatory standpoint, is it something that we're not compliant with? We make other nations then they look at we for the high risk country, or is it something we need for do? We banks they need for do for be compliant? Then one. The second person way or the second group of institutions that way we need for reach out to. Now we foreign affairs ministry. Then we embassies them or we foreign minister herself. Will actually reach out to the U.S. Department of Foreign Assets Control, Department of Treasury, to really ask, are we banned? Maybe we are not. It can possibly mean say we're not banned because maybe the individuals are not then banned, not to we the banned. Because every business in the West, we want to do business with any country outside the United States, outside the European Union, then they look at that list first because now part of the compliance requirements and they look at that list for make sure say the country wouldn't they work with no ban. It can possibly say we're not in that list, or maybe we've done the day before, they don't pull we day, but we not make a follow up for make sure say we not come out there. as far as infrastructure day, fiber cable don't dey na almost the whole free to, I mean, to service providers them. Fiber cable don't dey na upline. But for do e-commerce, you don't need high bandwidth. You just need internet. The internet will be used for WhatsApp,
Yeah.
Facebook.
True.
Now the same internet they use for e-commerce. You don't need for daily all the time.
True.
Now we dey buy na salon where painfully we dey buy, but we know they sell at all. And then in a huge avenue way, if we explore, it will create a lot of jobs and opportunities for people in a salon.
Okay, thank you.
Ali, as you mentioned that James, Brother James just came in. The last point where you talk, now the point that day with me and Brother James we talk say, when you say we they buy but we don't they sell. Me and Brother James talk about say we na salon or Africa in general, most African countries are consumers. We are not producers, and for some of way before all of this e-commerce, where we learn economics at school, we be talk about the term dumping. Back in the day, the Fed say make China not can destroy we agriculture, make not can destroy we local market. Well, if we are only consumers, e-commerce one of the biggest advantage for we, not salon. If we only just the consume and we know they sell, that means to say we transfer wealth from salon to other countries. Then the people will become poor.
Yeah.
They know they reap the benefits of the true profits of e-commerce. And I know only we drift out to many other things. Then the World Bank put certain questions then, where it say every e-commerce environment, and when all don't begin asking question and they say in which for ask, when it comes to the infrastructures, the first question where World Bank say we need for ask, we said, he said, do people have access to cell phone? Patrick Koba talk about that. He said the bandwidth there. He said the problem is not of the infrastructure, but I believe that the quality of the phone, then cheap phone and they no go connect that well. So even when we start the meeting, World Bank say we for ask the question of the access of cell phones then, is that we they struggle even for connect. But if I take me American phone, me make a tell on when I go free, so one thing and they what they call modem working by, and they get faster internet, and they able to access everything so fast. But what is here that people they use them Chinese phones then, they struggle. But meanwhile, I don't open my phone inside America, yeah. It's a quality phone. So that one question and we for ask. He said, do people have access to cell phones, broadband, and the internet in general? And I think, Brother James, if we go through that question there, we can answer most of them in there. So I don't go through the list of questions there, but World Bank categorize them by infrastructure, payment solution, trade and logistics, e-commerce skills development, legal and regulatory framework, which is more about the government. This is what we're going to talk about government. Maybe if I start that question there, maybe we can able to answer a lot of these things there and know what we for recommend. What you want to think?
And you make a good point today, and I want to just touch on something but I think about probably talked before, Brother Ali, and also Brother Ali, some of the things away.
Yeah, actually, they make a point before, but anyway, I will still come back to that point. But go ahead, Brother Jay.
Okay, so you make an earlier comment about which are the policies and ways, and we say the SPE, the policy part, which in government people do, or which not only e-commerce, not always solely the government. E-commerce, private sector issue, right? A matter of the private sector. The government get a role to play in terms of setting the level ground. Which in government can do for many instead of the playing field for the participants. Well, put the such accommodation in the one of which are the legal framework. Which are the policy which you want to do privacy, data privacy, legal framework e-commerce that are one major issue for address. But the use system, the legal system, we will protect data, try get all other things we can do for making we went from the system, the credibility of the postal system credible postal delivery system. We need for digitized commerce. Even at the local level, people that when they sell in the grocery store, what do they come to the market? If you can't go cash or go shop and can't go cash, they can't go cash, you go able to buy easily because people are not sure whether you can't will be solved. You go find solution to the transaction where you use where you make for you the card. So you can use the card in there, bank them to issue them, and we need for be able to clear them then bank system. Also, I'm thinking able for what we talk about region, in fact, now the entire continent, economic integration. Now we get what we call the one meeting, we get the WAMO, we get the ECOWAS, we get the Mano River Union. All of them systems they are really trying for integrate the region. We therefore incorporate e-commerce. E-commerce will be part of our day because the idea of market access, not to be for you for access the market, you will alone, you will then you village or you turn at home, you're able to sell your product it's another village that Accra and Ghana. So we therefore able to incorporate e-commerce into the integration itself on the product scale. Forget pilot programs then e-commerce alone for being part of the curriculum at school or at colleges then that we structural engineers then we get engineers then we get people that we don't study the lecture then they know how to talk about them, we then memorize them, but when it comes to the practice of teaching them, it's very difficult that alone. We can make it part of the curriculum, we don't need to call it expert from Senegal who can teach we e-commerce at alone. Alone can brand with university college don't train Ghanaian, they don't train Nigerians them, but we people the engineers for constructive in the road with the kind of people from university. We were able to develop with curriculums and salon, we were able to build up and if we're dependable, we're credible, we're secure. And also for the public a part to play. Public to play a part. The government in your side also help for the detect and deter fraud. People in there and we were able to use e-commerce for defraud other people there. We forget in place we were able to mitigate that kind issue and they will happen e-commerce. People just few seconds ago brother Ali in question we raised. Salon, I check I do a little bit of research. Salon we're not banned as a nation. We're not banned as a nation from the platform. I go to the Treasury website, I look at the countries them, I look at the entities them, I produce them. Salon, Sierra Leone as a nation is not banned from participating in e-commerce. It's clear. We have people that we potentially a rogue individual, a rogue players, where they rig the system at Sierra Leone. And because those individuals them heavily then they involve in e-commerce at Sierra Leone and other trades, because of the scale, the scope of trade where they engage in internationally, where they ban them, they create an image of Sierra Leone as a whole. Sierra Leone is a small country with a population of about 6 million. And so the big players then they misbehave internationally, they reflect on we negatively. But as a nation, we are not banned at Sierra Leone. Number one. So the first thing will be the point of concern at Sierra Leone, not so much the governor of the Bank of Sierra Leone. Maybe I would say so much for do with the Ministry of Finance, the Minister of Finance. We will go for get our access just like we'll get the Treasury at the US. The Treasury get the list of companies and individuals and even some rogue nation and waive them ban for participate into foreign commerce. And so the Minister of Finance, the Consumer Protection Agency, then we get within a Sierra Leone able to answer some questions at the basic level. But I will want to establish this. Sierra Leone as a nation is not banned. We only not able to participate in them platform and because of we high risk. Somebody mentioned risk, use not. Well, the risk of getting mail delivered at your house at alone, the risk of getting your mail delivered or what they call the postal reliability index is only 22% at alone. So the chances that if you mail something to somebody in Sierra Leone, you get only 22% chance of receiving that thing in a mailbox in Sierra Leone. If you look at Ghana, 60%. If you look at Senegal, 72%, Salon will 23%. So there's a high risk, about 80% of the chance that if you mail something to somebody on Salon, there's a 80% chance they will get them. They will see farm, somebody go open them, somebody go divert them. So these are the risks we they inside the system. We need for work on. We need for mitigate. We risk them so that we will create a positive image of ourselves internationally. Then they will begin to look at we say, well, this is a country where deserves a chance for Canada to perform there. But they're not banned we because of blood diamond. They're not banned Sierra Leone because we belong engage in people that belong import or transit cocaine at our home. That we are not able to see any of that in the treasury, the website, or anywhere where I research.
Okay, so guys, you know what? Now we can move into a different phase. What we don't do right now is that we all don't talk about ideas there. But in any symposium, in any discussion, we need to come out with some. Waiting we take out of this. Waiting with waiting Ali bin they say, and Patrick Coba, things that where we go take back from here and tell people and say, "Una do this," or what about this?
Brother Foday, 1 minute, please. Tom Alpha here.
Okay.
I want to ask Sister Josephine just come online. You know, a little bit because I've been getting some information once. I'm not sure whether it gets as much as we go really be helpful. Waiting you Josephine, waiting you aware saying that the status of the fiber optics landing and would you be something that will be shared with me at one time that you mind for just giving a little bit of updates. I've been getting follow-up points I want to make in relation before you come in, brother, for the please.
Before this time, it be appear like say we use the fiber, but based on we research in a school, we can realize we not be even they use the fiber. We be just they use something well kind of similar to fiber. Now they don't actually want Salon for begin use fiber. We go make the internet facility faster than within it usually be. And for example, the mobile companies there, they say they use 4G, but in actual fact, we don't reach that point for even begin use 4G. And the reality now that's now 2G will be the use, not so even 3, but then the quote them like say now 4 with the use, and some they make like say now 3 with the use. But now we they begin for even use 3, and then eventually we go upgrade to 4.
So okay. When we listen that, just from that, you say, waiting brother James made a talk, say, I not let we use the word ban, say them country and they ban with every country they protecting interest. So within Sister Josephine just talk, this is more like an eyewitness, somebody will get credible information, you know, and we know, you know, this is not always we call it corruption. You know, if people are dishonest, even the young people, they are using 2G, and they put big posters in the streets saying 4G. Right. You know, so the corruption was rampant or is rampant, and these other countries, these other companies, the many companies they want to work for. At first, you need to protect your investors and your shareholders, you know, and then companies they don't care whether you do e-commerce or not. They're looking at profitability, you know. So this is one of the examples. So the thing is that, guys, I guess some of them questions that we go address some of them things there. Where Sister Josephine, if you get pen and paper in there, or anybody who want to take notes, as I ask them question there, remember when I will say 1 minute response time. When I ask the question, it's not a debate. No debate, no nothing. Just say question. For example, how we for make sure say we move this, then you give your answer, then somebody else give you answer. So they list all them things they are done. Maybe we can wrap all them things they are in a fine bowl when we conclude this meeting. So yes.
No, I just want to say we actually don't go well above with time. We'll be set for an hour. We almost don't go half an hour above.
When we take up to 2 o'clock, if people agree. So that's why I want to wrap this up in the next 32 minutes. If anybody didn't get time.
Well, yes, at least what do we say, brethren, the way them connected, because I know so we budget for 1 hour. An hour.
I know.
But we don't go. Yeah. Is that okay for everyone? For let we carry on till in the next
okay with me.
Okay.
Hello.
Yes.
Okay with me.
Okay. Good. Okay. Okay, I see so many mics and turned off, but I think the consensus is such that people then why don't we carry on?
Okay, Kumba, okay.
Yeah, me go there a little more. Then, as soon as I know me na morning to me na Sunday, so I get for can go church. Yeah.
Okay, I think so. We'll go the next half an hour for low round.
Yes.
But the discussion very interesting. Praise God.
Very, very interesting.
So, oh yeah.
Okay, guys. So it's very interesting. We learn a
too.
lot. Now let me come with ideas and from now. And what you see, everybody to talk. Where anything that happen as Salona government. So let's start from the government. Where it's not only questions anymore. This is now World Bank questions. And what them put under for government and call a legal and regulatory framework. So let me ask the question. If anybody know, we put it on. Does Sierra Leone, so I replace the word country, does Sierra Leone have legal frameworks for electronic transactions and signatures? We get any lawyer that we missed? Anybody we know about that? One of them key question there.
It's difficult for them we answer that and they just with a yes and no, because the truth is the one thing where we need to be aware of but Salon. A lot about we Salon laws them, then we not get any, it hard to get a codified system where you will say if you look inside you will see almost all we lost them. Anyway,
so then if we don't know the answer, what do we for say? There should be a legal framework for electronic transactions and signature. That may be the recommendation. If we no, because most of if we know about that.
Hello.
Oceana, yes.
Yes, please.
Yes, another legal luminary.
I know say the police you talk about protection, they get a cyber section, a cyber network section, wouldn't they use for help for the protection of people them like cyber theft and everything. The
cyber security.
Get a whole cyber network when they do then kind of thing. I don't look through and not see anything where you could be able for point at like and also then get a proposed cyber laws the way they want for codify. But I know say the Sierra Leone police get a cyber security section where then they work on a lot of things.
But for the one of the one say sorry. Before it been happening said brother Solomon Jamiru, we all know now we brother now we all in the college and all of that. Mine have been the deputy minister of information, and most of them in there. So the Ministry of Information, now actually they control the IMC. So like most of them companies, them mobile network companies, them electronic network companies, they're all they're under that ministry. I've been really they look forward for an opportunity for talk with them and ask some of them questions I really asked to, because it's gonna be mine. So I don't know if anybody else they will perhaps get much more now where they don't be minister, I can have for access them sometimes. We go able for or not in at the ministry again, then just don't move on to foreign affairs. But perhaps if we know people know we can ask some of them questions they are to, it will be helpful or we really able to come up with something as well. What did they say?
Okay. Then so I just pick that one question from the regulatory side. Let me go to the infrastructure and services. I believe so we already don't answer that because Brother James give us stats on that. Do people have access to cell phones, broadbands, and the internet in general? How much does it cost? Brother James don't already answer that. He said 23%. If I recall, is that 23% of people can get access to internet? Whilst like in Ghana, maybe they get a higher percentage. So now
I go add to that answer there.
Okay.
I go on for say this is not Alina. I go on for say the amount of people as of today, that metric they know they affect our ability for participating in e-commerce. I think say the number of people that we get access to cell phone the amount of availability of bandwidth, as far as I know, and I believe they are very familiar with the level of bandwidth availability in a salon, as far as access by government entities, corporate organizations, and individuals, the way they use cell phones. I think say that they not get no effect on the ability for participating in e-commerce. I think so we're good.
Yeah.
So for the cost. So in terms of availability and access, there's a high cost. So if you look at the purchasing power parity monthly, which is then called also tariff at Sierra Leone, it costs about $92 per month, US dollars per month, to be able to maintain a very good access to internet at Sierra Leone. Compared to what you would.
Right, I agree with that. That we cost them relatively still high, but I'll give you an example of a type of e-commerce where we open up a lot of things in a salon. Now we take people away, they offer services from administrative people to IT people. You don't need to be on that network consistently for provide services. If you're not a proposal writer, for example, you participate in a platform. Yes, mommy. Okay, yeah. If you're a proposal writer, for example, you're a project manager, for example, you sign up to like a platform like Upwork. You suddenly hire freelancers. You don't get job now, or even if you get job, but you want to do like a side job, and you offer services for write proposal for somebody or edit them proposal or whatever it is for a small fee. You sign up now the platform, you get your profile there, and that's all you need internet for. When somebody buy you service, maybe after every end of day, you go check if somebody interested in your service. You pick up the service, you do the work offline, and then you upload and work to them. You don't need consistent internet for do that. If you're not somebody with a sell commodity, you get your website, you put your commodities then there. That's the only time you need access to that. And if somebody buy your commodity, you get normal email alert, like where you could get you want to sell something on eBay now. Somebody buy them and you see them, you package them, you send them for them. But that is not possible right now. And bandwidth really not get anything for do with that, as far as we saw with it right now.
So, Brother Ali, me understand also they come up from, but the experts then they say that people when they get service, they call that independent contractor, like a very small percentage inside salon. So to me, it's like so insignificant. A majority of the internet, even in the Western world, it's buying and selling of goods and services. And inside America, yeah, all man can get computer. Salon also all man get computer and a phone. That's what World Bank they say for developing companies. That more people can get access to good phone. And as Patrick Kobabe don't talk, that the bandwidth is a problem. But for let people get the right, good quality phone. So the problem now, this is what World Bank is talking about: cost. Are cell phone too expensive at the current rates right now in Sierra Leone?
This is not to be defensive of anything of the situation out there right now. Yeah. But I mean, if we overthink things and we look at some bureaucratic red tapes where World Bank they create for we as they don't they create for African nations, then an officer will get past anything we want to do as a nation. That cost and anything. I mean, I don't do contracting for World Bank in different other places in the United States as well. That is so irrelevant. That costing. You get businesses, you will get brokers there. The moment them platforms then begin allow salon, then we will flip into the education mode. We begin make people aware. Businesses then will prop up. As of today, there are only 2 companies where they allow people, where they help people in a salon for buy something overseas and ship them to them. Then RMX and Mustafa Wine come here. I don't forget the name. Now then 2 no more they do that. We not get any, not open up to people. And once it is open, the education mode go kick in, and businesses then go prop up. We go be brokers. I mean, all of this.
Okay. So for answer your question, certain word and the way I want to drop companies and they help. Actually, if for-profit organization care less about helping people, then it's more about their bottom line. So if we want for Rise Up, like in Ghana, they all get a higher participation when campaign ban e-commerce is the mindset na salon and waiting me see. Even where problem happen, na papa governments or waiting government can do, what can we do? What can private sector do? And what can the church do? If me gets me multi-billion-dollar corporation in America here, and somebody wants product, like I said earlier, we want to make sure say that product they enrich, so another forgets a refund or the product lost in transit. When we begin aware about we inefficiencies them or we mistakes in a salon, high corruption index, then company here they go and do business with you. They do business with Ghana. They do business with South Africa. Waiting one with salon, not to then company there for Epway. Let me try clean we say first. If we begin thinking that way, there, whatever fire we pull come on we mouth or not. So then just this is not the first time. Maybe people don't begin to do this for decades. They just ignore them because it's business. It's all about profitability.
No, where I say help, that don't mean saying like in sense of like charity in that sense. So I just say like companies the way they do that as a and these are actually Sierra Leonean businesses. One of them like I mean it not gonna be good for Sebon Lebanese business. The second one now one salon guy to do one. So.
Okay, so then we move on. Since we know, but my understanding is anytime me they go free tongue, you know, one thing where I can do like a meeting at Seattle, yeah. And I get access to one of the biggest telecommunications companies. Them I can always go take their old cell phone them. I go donate to people in a salon, and then people anyway they can use their phone and then they can tell me say they get better connectivity, higher reception than when they use a phone from Dubai or from China, you know. So and at that day World Bank they talk say if they get the right quality of phone and things they go on right and things probably not gonna happen. We all know the last time, but the Kenyan big Boeing plane we fall from the sky, and waiting Boeing talk. Boeing waited close to me in Seattle, yeah. Some of the workers and they close to me now, yeah. Say that part the airline company whether they can the country they tell and say you can buy the parts in America, yeah, we're very expensive. Or you go buy them from China, then choose to go buy them from China. Now their own statement now they wouldn't get. You know, quality is very important. You can able to get a car will look the same like another car, but you don't know the content, the parts they wouldn't inside. You know. So from waiting we know is that most local salon people they can't afford a cell phone manufactured in England or America, but they can want the one from China. So until the regulatory framework, the government begin push pan China, say increase the quality of phones there, come close to American standard, or else not supplying from the but we don't know how this can impact way. Yes, Brother James.
Somebody, so if you need to speak, I can put you on mute. We can put on the voice.
Yes.
Hey, Foday,
if you are not talking on this forum, please go on mute. Thank you.
All right, good. Thank you. Carry on, sir.
Okay, I will be the talk about. So now, I know really continue the questions.
I know, you know, I won't go into the questions then, but you know, we get sidetracked a little bit.
Okay, carry on, sir.
So when we think about cost, guys, what do we agree? Cell phones are accessible, but they are cheap, but they of poor quality. Do we agree on that? In Sierra Leone, not only always some phone they use, people in this salon they able to buy $900 cell phone. Some guys in this panel right now in this salon again $900 phones, you know. But not all local people able to buy them phone then they.
Yes, that's true.
No, that's true. That's true. But the question also is, I mean, I think like how Brother Ali bin say, that could be just one factor. But I've been one for really, especially looking at with time. I've been one for law. We see if we can really go to some of the areas then, because down there, like that now one of them in a way. There's very little we go for do. But things like for example, like we talk about regulatory framework. We can able for make some things say we can able for come up with some what's not the word what they look for. Come up with some kind of resolution or something say, what if we make a representation to so and so ministry or so and so person for get some more information or make some recommendation. For example, we can make a recommendation say the need for all this kind of discussion, maybe na the radio stations or TV, like what's this TV station where one of the most popular ones AYV. For the you can get a discussion like this now AYV and get people for phone in and really like take this to another level in country. Right. You know, so that they kind of discussion there, it will go on radio, it will go on TV in the country, and people are able for like ask, calling, make contributions like how we say they do so now. So that could be something. But that one there about the phone, with all respect, but Foday, we might not even do much about really situation, because the people in say when they bring phone and for cancel the merchants them, then they look at the income level of the people in the country. If
exactly.
I go $1,000 phone there, I say I can put on the market. Now very few people will really afford that.
Exactly. And one of the next question and the way World Bank asks, say if the good quality phones are too expensive, do we have financing available? For the answer back is no. Some of the questions there we already know the answer. You know.
Then they need self na e-commerce. If somebody get phone now $1,000, say well you go to pay small, we go connect exactly. either you will commercial bank account with the pull one block there every month. E-commerce.
But guys, I think say if we wrap all of this up in a bowl, let we just come up with we think say on the regulatory side, and we talk on ethics and then in the church. For let we wrap this thing up. But if we go to all of the questions, I know if you say Ingo serve we well. Because Pastor Tom, you talk say if certain things they will be come up, then we can share with other people the one when they have power. So let me try to wrap this thing up on this even though we don't know the laws them, but we can imagine we know what they go on the ground and what we see say they impede or they stop for the e-commerce flow. Maybe we can begin highlighting them some barriers that we feel so with the CEO for lifts.
Okay, please la interrupt. Sorry, I would need for left now. You know, so that I'll go get to it. Thanks very much for the discussion. It's been very fruitful, helpful, and eye-opener. And God bless this forum, and God bless everybody in effort for promoting.
Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. Have a blessed Sunday.
Amen. Okay, you too.
So, Brother James, Brother James, make a pass this over to you, so you pick up from there.
Yeah. So, I think we don't spend a lot of time on the impact or the potential for the nation, but on the church level, so the kingdom or the body of Christ, I don't know if anybody is able to give a perspective on whether, in fact, for example, in giving, in offering time of tithing, something accept what they call orange money. People they give online, when they see e-giving, people that the church they actually are able to harness the e-commerce platform then by way of supporting all our ministries. Anybody there now the group we able to shed some light on our one day. I mean, I assume that the church will be sure to look at some way unholy for give orange money, which is a basic form of e-commerce. Acceptable as alone on a church not alone. So anybody can just share their experience, whether you don't use orange money, for example, for giving offering or for giving tithe. Any church not alone.
I don't think then they look at them as being unholy. Tom Alpha here again. I don't think then they look at them as being unholy or enough. Now it's the technological awareness. I think when you even get down to the church, even the ratio even lower of people in way, even they aspire towards being technologically aware and ready for take advantage of them technological platforms and they we can even advance.
You said keys was on the table the whole time.
So I think say for me, one of the things that we like a big challenge. Then I'm not even sure if many of the churches they create, for example, just this past Sunday, I don't know one church where we get at offering time, I don't even get cash, but I'm able to give the offering by way of cash app. I use cash app and give. So the thing is, I think again it gets to do with sensitization much more in the church. The church is usually slower to catch up with anything that happen at the world. The church can be much more dragged than the fear say, or maybe like you talk about sometimes fear of the line between something we're not right before God and whatever. But in this case, I don't think that is the problem. I think that more of the awareness and also the again coming back to e-commerce. The church, the people themselves, and merchants and the vendors and of them services, then they considering say churches are one of the places and a lot of money, churches, religious houses, money they transact a lot inside them places and the awareness for gold and some of them places and they like how the banks can do, for example, now colleges then they go now and open them and get small branches and they way so that students are easily able for pay from the local branches in the campus, you know. So the same thing, if churches if them vendors and can begin consider say churches and religious houses now places where they can go and easily able for encourage them for utilizing platforms. Then somebody will come, able for get physical cash on them at the moment, but able for use them platform then they and pay and give offering and pay in tithes and some other contributions the way they go on for give. So I think say it's more about awareness raising, sensitization, and causing more and more people for utilizing platforms in the church and in the kingdom.
So what I get for Pastor is on the church side is why make e-commerce law is lack of awareness, sensitization, and so what we can do for let we open that, you know, to the for let them for make them barrier and go away. What can we do?
Hello. So a thing like this can be done also within churches, and we encourage them for getting kind discussions and create symposium them like this at certain sessions of them programs them and encourage people who know small bit about technology. I think Josephine may tell me at one time in the way one of we churches and we local churches them we do something that right. It was right. So I think a thing like that can be done.
Can I make a contribution?
Sure.
Right. Hello, this is Kojo from Ghana. Well, I can't speak authoritatively on Sierra Leone regards to the churches, but it's very simple. If the churches want to utilize the e-platforms in Sierra Leone, because it happened at Ghana quite a lot, it's very, very common. Basically, there are two or three main ways. One of them is with the POS. I don't know how commonly that is used in Freetown, for instance. The point of sale is just a small device.
Machine.
A machine, you're right. You just swipe your card. See, I also don't know how far the use of electronic cards are in Sierra Leone. As we talk about e-commerce, then you look at
might just interject real quick. Then get stores in Sierra Leone where they use POSs. They even get mobile POSs now in Salon.
Right.
And,
that's good.
And also cards, we get Visa cards. Most of them banks and they give debit cards. They know they give credit cards yet because we not get the kind of infrastructure for support credit. We'll get debit cards, we'll get POSs, we'll get internet. That is all we need for e-commerce.
If already,
recently, hello.
Go ahead, please.
Recently, NP filling station, like the gas station, then they don't introduce card. So when you get your card, you go to any NP station, and then you swipe, you pump your gas. So yeah.
Absolutely. So
and so for Salon, 5% of the population get the carrier, 5% alone. compared to, for example, other countries, Ghana, Nigeria, and they got 5% of the population they use debit card. We can't to credit card now less than 1%. So these are some of the challenges. The banks are getting room for play. Could you continue?
Okay, great. Also, in Ghana, you see, this has to do with the banks as well, not just the churches. I appreciate the point Thomas was making, which is that the churches have to be aware, the society, the congregation, and all of that. But a lot has to do with the banks. The banks have to be innovative because they are also making money out of this transaction. Yeah. So in Ghana, most banks in Ghana have developed apps. Okay, so if I don't go to church, I can pay my tithe via the app. I can move money from my account via the app into the church account. So the church will announce their church, the account numbers during announcement. So I have that information. I can sit in my house, and do with the app, go into the app, my bank app. It could be EcoBank, it could be Standard Chartered, Barclays, and make the transaction into my bank account, into the church's account. I can pay my tithe that way. I can even be in the church building and choose not to put physical cash and do it through the app. You understand? Like every other app. The other thing is churches also could develop websites. In Ghana, most churches have websites. I don't know for Frita. I would love to know. Maybe Isata could tell us the situation with websites. So websites also could create a platform for congregation members to pay. If I can go to church or I'm in church, I can still pay via the website easily. You understand? The thing is, in Ghana, most churches also they stream their services online. So if a member for some reason can't go to church, the member could still log on to the church's website and watch the service live, join the service live, to be like what we are having now. Okay, so on that website, you will see when it's offering time, you can just go onto the section for giving, and you easily transfer the money to the church. So either by card, through the POS, or through the apps that your bank will offer you, or directly onto the website of the church. Through a platform you can give, or if you're outside of the country, you can still give. You can still join most of the services in Ghana online. So I think that for the church to leverage this, the issue of POS, I don't know how common it is, how easy is it for churches to get. They could just apply for it. I think in Ghana, you have a minimum returns you should have every month if you qualify. And most churches, they raise a lot of offering. The banks will love it. They just make the application, they get a POS, and they can use it in the church. For cards, that has to do with individual members of the church. If they would be minded to apply for the cards, they can just swipe on the POS or the websites. Churches should also try to have websites. It doesn't cost much to have your website hosted on most of these platforms. You can develop a website, members can pay. Okay, but let me just say something quickly about the general e-commerce apart from the church. We have discussed extensively and quite informatively. I think mostly we have looked at e-commerce as an international transaction, but you can have local e-commerce also in Freetown to sell to somebody in Maburoka or sell to somebody in Makin, things like that. In Ghana, from where I'm sitting, I can order from Amazon. It is delivered to me here in my house. Okay, so when I click on an item on Amazon.com, I will see this item can be delivered to Ghana. So I don't need to worry to have a US address. I can click. It's just that the shipping cost will be higher because they utilize UPS, FedEx, which we have here in Ghana. We have UPS, we have FedEx, we have DHL, all those. Okay, so they will deliver to me. They can deliver to me here in Ghana. The only difference, they don't leave it on my doorstep and go away like they do in the US. I have to sign for it. So they'll call me first. You have a parcel, where can we meet you? I give them the address, they come to my house and deliver it. I don't know if that's possible in Sierra Leone. I don't think Sierra Leone is bad.
No.
I'm not sure if they do something like that. You may have to go to Amazon. If you're in Sierra Leone right now, you can check if they can deliver directly. But in Ghana, they can have an item delivered straight from Amazon, from eBay, all of those directly to your doorstep. Okay, so somebody in Sierra Leone can verify whether that's possible. If that's not possible, that's no problem. You can still we are still use e-commerce within Sierra Leone itself. Somehow we have not spoken about that much, but you don't really need any international permission to the best of my knowledge. Somebody was asking about the legal regime. It doesn't go, as far as I know, in Ghana here with a lot of legal regulations. It's basically marketplace transaction. It's just that it's taking place without, like somebody mentioned, the brick and mortar interaction. So in Ghana, we have slide pay. You know, the good thing in Ghana, like our lady, my sister was contributing, we have 4G. The internet I'm using right now in my house is fiber optic, 4G. It's very fast, very sharp. So no problem with that at all. But the advantage Freetown has over Ghana, and I said it all the time, is your address system. The address system in Freetown is superb as far as I could remember it. I don't know if things have changed, but it was very, and James was talking about that. It's very good. Ghana, we don't have it like that. For you to direct someone in Ghana, you need to send me your Google location. Of course, here we have the navigation system, like you have it in the US. It will direct you directly to every place. So if I want to, I'll give you something that happened between a Sierra Leonean lady and a vendor here in Ghana. My friend, she was getting married, Abiodun, from Freetown. She ordered her wedding dress from a seamstress here in Ghana. She went on Facebook. The lady had advertised on Facebook. They did the transaction there. She ordered the dress, okay? And then she came to Ghana to pick it up. Now, when she came to Ghana to pick it up, I called the lady on her phone. I didn't know where she was, the store was. The lady sent me her Google location. I used the Google location plus them. We went there. But this is the issue. The store was a very small store in a corner of Accra. Interesting. So I was so impressed that a small store here in Ghana has been able to sell a wedding dress to somebody in Freetown. It happened. Right. Just I think 2 months ago, she was here. They even stayed with me here in my house. So I was just, so it could happen. You know, it just, well, like Thomas was saying, the awareness has to be there. This whole permission here and there, really, it's not not such a huge issue. Okay, then apart from the international transaction, in Ghana, we have what we call tonaton.com or LX. Those are all, I can sit here, I can go on tonaton.com. I want a mobile phone, I see a lot of them. I click on it, I can speak to the seller, we can agree to meet anywhere. In that case, we don't use a card. We do cash. You deliver, I meet you somewhere, I pay you. But I've seen the item online. Also, we have like you have it in the US, you can swipe your cards. You know, we have the one that your bank issues, and we have those that are not issued by banks, like Capital One was doing in the US. They could issue the card, but they're not directly a bank. We had that too here. Those are things that could also happen in Sierra Leone. Even if you don't have the card, you can advertise your goods on certain platforms. And then we meet, I pay you cash, you give me the item. You know what I'm saying? So I think this discussion also, we should engage in it with a view of plugging into the e-commerce space ourselves as business people, or to create those platforms for people in Freetown to use if they don't already exist. You can get a website. For instance, Thomas, you can get someone in Freetown or do a website for you. Even goods you can get in. Look, there are people here in Ghana that are selling goods from Costco. You know, you can get it for less. So you can register there. Though we have the items displayed on the website that Sierra Leoneans can access and advertise in Freetown. Then you give them delivery date or maybe a month or something. You know, they can order, they get their things there. Things like that can happen. You don't need any international permission for this. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
Brother Thomas?
Yes.
Yeah, sorry. I think the timing, you know, we really want, I'm not very sure we're going to finish with this today. We might probably sit down and talk and reflect whether we need to continue this subject in the next meeting. But it's now 11 o'clock, and I think probably it will not be just.
Yeah, we have to wrap it up there.
And also, yeah, guys. So you know, I was just waiting for someone to say something so we can.
I want to say something only because some of them things, even like Brother Kojo said. For example, now apart from the Impact Nation website that we have, I have a small business that I've been trying to develop. I have a website for that. I have a website. And people. But the thing is, some of these things, I will look at myself and say, okay, maybe because I'm in the US, these things they just come naturally to me. But I'm thinking of somebody who has never crossed the shores of Lunge, but he's in Freetown. He gets him small business and everything. The question is, first of all, it even think in that direction. They like how me to think. Say, even if I go back to Freetown and at my ministry, I want for set I'm up now full time in Freetown. The first thing is I already get Facebook account, Facebook page, I get all of them in it. But the average pastor or the average Sierra Leonean businessman, you know, he get that frame of mindset in the first place. Then I want. Two, the average person that's the streets of Freetown, even they think say if I want to buy something, I can go check for them online and a person will say I can buy them. So these are the kind of things that we should be talking about for our people. It's no issue. I can be here because I already know these things. But for that person,
sensitization.
I think at that point,
guys, so let us.
Well,
so guys, you know, let us wrap this thing up.
Yeah.
But
I think you guys need to wrap it up.
As a panelist, what do we take from this? Is now, Brother James and I, we knew what the problem is right now. The problems are in Sierra Leone, and Kojo and Brother Kojo just explained it exactly. Everything we started was just talking and debating about things.
Mm-hmm.
And as Brother Ali was also saying, we should have, if we look at what Brother Kojo just tell us exactly what happened in Ghana, and you know what, guys, that was exactly what happened in China. Let me tell you guys, the United States, Europe, and maybe Mexico and Canada and Russia, these guys work together, and for these companies, in all of these companies to come and invest, first of all, remember we have the slogan, God help those who help themselves, you know. So what Brother Kojo just told me, exactly what happened in China. We need to build our local e-commerce. Forget about Amazon, forget about eBay, forget about PayPal. We need to build our own locally amongst ourselves. And let me tell you guys, when you build your own locally, then these foreign companies, Amazon, that are blocking other people, they will sort the demand. They will sort the money. Then they will open up because they want to get that piece of the market. I think that is what I get from all of this. Is that we need to build our local e-commerce. Anybody want to, Brother James, do you want to add something up? Really?
Yeah, the only thing, yes, and so you made a very good point there. And also, one of the takeaways from this is that we need to sensitize our local church that, hey, here is a way you can maximize the giving. Here is a way we can maximize giving to support the gospel, because there's a lot of potential in the church, but we are only using the brick and mortar approach in raising funds in our giving. But we should be able to present tangible options to the church, to the body of Christ in Sierra Leone, to be able to the goal is to maximize giving, either by receiving or even in the support towards the gospel. I think this is something that we should also pay attention to.
All right, okay. I think as a moderator, I have to make a decision with regards to the meeting, because we have done a lot, and there is more we could do. But couple of things that came up. We need to build up our local e-commerce. We need to sensitize the church, and even a lot of sensitization to go as a nation. And there is a lot of lack of awareness, you know. So those are some of the points. But what we can do, we can look at it again and see whether we can have more discussion on this particular subject. But I would really want to say a very big thank you to Brother Foday, Brother James, and every one of us that participated tonight. I know we have learned a lot. We have,
with people out there or institutions out there, people who would like to invest at the micro level, and people who would like to see how things are progressing in Sierra Leone. And for all the viewers out there, Impact Nation 360 is a very young non-profit organization, and the focus of this organization is to help the underprivileged and all people out there who would like to see the blessing of God, the image of God, and prosperity of the people in worship to our God, and that we can make life better for every people in Sierra Leone and also around the world. And like Pastor Tom Alpha, he is a very, very strong leader and a blessed one, and one that the people of Sierra Leone will be thanking God for his leadership and the vision that God has given him, and to make sure that we progress in Sierra Leone. So our focus on e-commerce in Sierra Leone, first of all, do we have somebody who will take down notes, please?
It they record, I suppose.
Oh,
So
okay. Okay, that's good. Okay.
just like confirm that. Tell me the recording.
Yeah, it's recording.
All right.
Okay. So on part one of our symposium, we actually focused on the structural characteristics of e-commerce in terms of definitions and functions and technological and operational structure. But this section, we're going to focus on particular specific things relating to Sierra Leone. And so there are only 4 questions that we're going to be discussing about. And the first question is, how many local e-commerce platforms do we have in Sierra Leone? These are very simple questions, that I come up with. What are the names of these local platforms or companies in Sierra Leone, and what is their business model? And business model, in a sense, we don't need to know like at an organizational technical aspect, but what is our perception? How do they do business? And then we're going to look at these e-commerce companies and business model, that we have in Sierra Leone, and see how these are these helpful for the economic development of Sierra Leone, of the country, and then of citizens or all residents in Sierra Leone. And the last question is, what recommendation can we make to improve e-commerce in Sierra Leone? Before we go into this, there are some key facts, that I just want to lay out there. And e-commerce is booming across the whole of Africa, including the country of Sierra Leone. Alibaba has its subsidiary called Ali Express, where 4.2 million Africans buy and sell within that platform. And then we have Jumia, which has about 4.3 million Africans are buying and selling through their platform.
Wow.
And also we have Amazon, one of the giants in the United States, which is operating in 11 countries in Africa. And then we also have indigenous African e-commerce platform like AfriShopping, Conga.com, Kilimall, Takealot. And in Sierra Leone, we have Caravan Box and Aramex and many other ones that we're going to be talking about. But the thing about is the challenges for e-commerce in Africa is, in Sierra Leone in particular, we don't have a robust addressing system. People are constructing houses all over the places. Only if you lived in places where it was well defined, from the colonial times, yes, you can be able to deliver some items. But construction, the economy is booming and things are growing up all over the place. And the other biggest problem facing Sierra Leone is the delivery system. And for you to buy something, somebody has to deliver that product to you. So if we look at Jumia, they have about 500 bicycles and trucks. They are like in Nigeria and other countries where they deliver packages. And the biggest problem for e-commerce in Sierra Leone, most Sierra Leoneans do not have a bank account. But we saw for the past 3, 4, 5 years that a lot of people have access to cell phones, and they can go buy some credits. And we have technologies in place in Sierra Leone where people can use those credits to transfer money from one person to another and to even buy some products. So in the United States and United Kingdom, we have credit cards and debit cards. In Sierra Leone, a lot of people don't have that. But what people are using in Nigeria and Ghana, they are substituting these cell phones credit as a form of currency to pay for e-commerce transactions on the internet, you know. And the biggest problem of any business is trust. When I give you money on the internet, I hope I'm going to get the product, the right product, not a defective one or something that is substandard. And that is the big problem, even in the top 3 countries that are leading e-commerce in Africa: Kenya, Nigeria, and South Africa. You know, people are buying things and they're not getting the correct product. And one of these biggest e-commerce companies came up with what we call payment on delivery, which is working well for African countries. I'm not going to pay you anything. I'm going to put in my order, you know, or maybe I might have to put in a deposit or zero. And then the delivery man is going to come to the mountainous area, you know, the peninsular area in Freetown. And for example, and when they brought the product, then I saw that, then I see that that is the right product and that is what I ordered for. Then I can pay you cash, by card, or by an electronic payment systems, you know. So that is the reality in African countries. But what I wanted us to focus on, I wanted to focus on 2 things: consumption and production. You know, we know that in order for Sierra Leone to prosper, for our economy to grow, we should not be a consumption-based economy. When you are running your economy in a consumption-based economy, we call it the transfer of wealth. You are transferring money from Sierra Leoneans to other foreign nations. They are supplying you goods, and you go in and work really hard for the month, you get paid, and then you take part of your monthly income and you transfer that wealth. That's what we call the transfer of wealth. It goes to China, it goes to Alibaba in China, it goes to Amazon in the United States. And then at the end of every financial year, these companies has what we call distributions, where at the end of the money from Sierra Leone that people are earning move over to wealthy people who own those companies. So even though we are thinking about e-commerce, it has its good side if the whole country is consuming, but we're not selling to the rest of the world. So when we look about e-commerce, we should be looking about what do we have in the northern province, in the southern province, in the western area, in the eastern province. What do we have? What can we put on the platform that somebody in the United States, in China, in the United Kingdom, that they will go online and order, so our people in Sierra Leone will have transfer of wealth from the United States, China, United Kingdom into Sierra Leone. That is what we call a production-based economy. Driven by e-commerce, people will become wealthier, jobs will be created, startups will boom. And that is what I wanted to focus on when we give recommendations to institutions or governments back home in Sierra Leone. So I'm going to stop for now. We only got some few people here, and this meeting is going to last for just, you know, we only got about a few more hours, but I'm just going to open it up just to the few of us if anybody got a point that they want to say.
I am particularly thrilled or impressed to know that this is Tom Alpha here. I was particularly thrilled to learn that at least there are a few companies in Sierra Leone that are using the e-commerce platform.
Yes.
I learned that during this period of handling this topic from you guys. So that's something good for me to know. I have been one person who has, at different levels, tried to do my own bits in business in Sierra Leone. Even back then, when I was just a when we just left university and started family life, my wife and I would go to Guinea and buy products and come and sell to people. So the buying and selling business is something that I have always believed in, and I still do. Still thinking of different ways to. I had suffered some setbacks here and there, but I mean, that's always part of the game. You just keep still remaining focused and until you get there. So I'm thrilled to know that, because I really want us to get to practicals as to, okay, are there people who are doing it? If not, why? And if they are doing it, has it been at the level that more and more people will benefit from across the country, but also across the world? So I'm glad that you're touching on that, and I'm hoping that as we go, ideas will flow, suggestions will come, because some of us, I am one person, and I make no apologies for saying that, I am one person who believes that Christians or God's people in Sierra Leone should be able to get to create wealth, employ people, get people into business. Just in the last week or so, I have a family member who has been involved in some business, and within a short time, an additional arm of business, and just the joy of seeing other people that you're giving something to do, giving them some job to do, eventually making them self-sufficient, because once they begin to take a product and sell, and then they're making some money, people who would otherwise just be sitting down idle, that is something. So I just want us to expound as we go along on the ways that we can actually benefit from e-commerce in practical reality. And those of us who are interested in really getting down to modding our feet into it, we want to really learn. And I am particularly very excited about what I'm learning from this forum.
That's good.
Okay. Yeah. I think Sister Isa too is on at the moment. I hope that we have more people from Freetown or from Sierra Leone that are connected to give us like a first-hand information.
Exactly.
As to
that makes sense.
Yes, have they done it? Have they used it? Because like what Brother Foday talked about, distribution, security. I was even thinking about the security. You order something, and a courier takes it to your house. Is it secured in the sense that is that person not going to be attacked? Is it viable? You understand? So the distribution network and the security around distribution of whatever item you have ordered on e-commerce. I would have just loved if somebody's in Freetown that can just give us, for the Western countries or for US or here for Europe, it's quite secured. You order your stuff, you get it, the next day. But down there, I think that's one of the bottlenecks, I assume. Or I don't know whether you have to go like what DHL does or what Red Code does. You have to go to the office to go and pick up your items. I don't know. So I really wish like somebody from Freetown can probably just throw some light on that.
Okay, so before we go to the details, so we are just coming to the middle of the hour, 30 minutes. We got 2 more minutes. Anybody else out there who wanted to just say something before we go into the details? I saw Brother James logged in a moment ago and maybe logged out again. Okay, if not, if nobody has anything else, we can start right away. So this area, we are not the experts, We would like, as Brother Komba said, we would like people who are actually in Sierra Leone, people who are frequent, who are there or doing business. You can be in the diaspora, but doing an active business in Sierra Leone. You will be able to give us something firsthand, what is going on. So our first question is, how many local e-commerce platforms do we have in Sierra Leone, and what are the names of these companies? So I already mentioned about Caravan Box, which I believe is the largest, and Aramex is another one. So if somebody want to explain to us how these people do business and how it is driving e-commerce in Sierra Leone, that will help us a lot.
And if anybody has used it, even like you said in the diaspora, let us just know.
Yes, yes.
I doubt if there. I doubt very much. Unfortunately, the few people I know who are in Sierra Leone or who are Sierra Leoneans and are doing business in Sierra Leone, who may have been helpful with that particular subject matter. I'm not sure they're online right now, but I doubt very much whether we have because in our last meeting where we talked about e-commerce part 1, the gateway to opportunities in Sierra Leone part 1. It was like we were learning for the first time, many of us, that there were even companies that are doing e-commerce. But also another thing that we learned from that, both from you, the moderators and facilitators, as well as our brother who joined us. What was his name now?
Ali.
Our brother Ali, who joined us. Who is of the other faith, but our brother, all the same. He opened our eyes to let us know that there are challenges. Now, we got other perspectives from the moderators that it may not be quite so much of regulatory problems or whatever it is. But one of the things that came out clearly was that there are challenges. Brother Ali was of the opinion that some of these things were being blocked from the United States. It's responsible for some of the blockages that people are experiencing, i.e. security. Anyway, we got explained that it's not so much like they have put any block of us on Sierra Leone, but that security-wise, people are not able to trust that if they, for example, Amazon did not block Sierra Leone per se as a country. They have individual business people they have blocked. And we all know that it's mostly our Lebanese friends and brothers who are doing more of business in Sierra Leone. And that some of them, because of their activities around the world, may have had some bad reputation, and so they are blacklisted, and therefore it would appear like it's the country Sierra Leone that is blacklisted, but that not necessarily being the case. So my concern is, I'm wondering whether really we have experiences of individuals, especially among us. First of all, we have to understand that typically the average Sierra Leonean is not so much of an entrepreneur, a business-minded person. The average Sierra Leonean now. So that means there are people who are not within that bracket, who may be exceptional in their own rights. But typically, you don't find Sierra Leoneans as business-minded people. Now, it gets worse by the time you get into the next our next focal point, being born-again Christian people. Because of very variations of problems, some people feel there are too many hassles. I remember, this may not be quite an example to that particularly supports that point, but it has some bearing. I remember a few years ago, many years ago, when there's a particular aunt of a very close friend of mine, so we all just called her aunt something. And so came to the house one day, and we were just chatting, and she said she learned that I was studying law, and of course I was a pastor by then. I had been a pastor. I was actually pastoring a local church, and she said, pastor and lawyer. She learned that I was reading law. She said, pastor and lawyer. I don't know how that ended in the topic. so the typical, and that extends to even business people. When the people believe that if you are going to be in business, you are signing up for being corrupt, for being crooked, for being, all kinds. It's like that's the kind of thing you're signing up for. So that my point is, I doubt very much how many examples of people. I know there are a few. I wish we had a chat with somebody like Alvin Emerson Thomas, because I know I've heard he has a business in Sierra Leone and he's doing well. A few people who are actually running business entities that are doing well, but even so, I doubt how much of them are actually utilizing e-commerce platforms. You may be buying and selling, or you may be delivering services to people and they're paying money for it. But to actually now engage on an e-commerce platform, somebody buying online and being able to make sure that service or that product gets to them, I doubt very much if we have any examples of people who can share that.
Well, Tom, what you just explained just brought us my research, about Caravan Box.
Okay.
Those challenges is why Caravan Box was created.
Okay.
So what a lot of people don't understand, people like us, we work in corporate America, and I explained that briefly the last time, is imagine all of the challenges for big e-commerce companies like AfriShopping, Conga.com in Africa, all of the challenges that they are having. Like if you deliver a product, people don't pay you or something like that. That is what, like Amazon, these giants in the United States, they view Sierra Leone as a high risk. If somebody go online and then they order something and then that product finds itself in an area where it shouldn't be, or maybe there are many security in terms of the United States government. So if you look at e-commerce, it is very, very low in the Middle East. They are at the same level as us, but they don't complain about it because they have a different mindset how they view the United States. So what Caravan Box did, these are the creators are Sierra Leoneans. They registered that company in the United States. It has a US-based address, and they registered the company in Sierra Leone, and they have a platform that they built for themselves where a Sierra Leonean in Sierra Leone will go in. They have their e-commerce website where you go in and enter your product, then that gets zapped over to their corporate office in the United States, and somebody else go in and key that product in Amazon, eBay, and everything that you want, and those products are delivered not straight into Sierra Leone. What people don't know, it goes to their corporate warehouse in the United States, and they put all of these in barrels and containers, and then it gets shipped to Sierra Leone and they deliver. So from the people of Sierra Leone, they are shopping on Amazon, but actually you are in the platform of Caravan Box, and they have their staff in the United States who key in all of those items.
Okay.
So it is a way of circumventing all of these challenges,
Right.
So these guys are smart.
Smart. That's very smart.
But remember what I said. But when I analyze this from a business point of view, is yes, Sierra Leoneans who can afford it, now those who got money can buy iPhones, thousands of dollars, can buy Nike shoes, thousands of dollars. So remember, we talk about consumption-based and production-based. So what we are doing now is that Caravan Box mostly make it available for Sierra Leoneans to get products, quality products from the United States that they can ship back to Sierra Leone and deliver. So these guys are smart, but this kind of business will not lead to a big expansion of the economy.
Yeah.
That's what we are seeing in Ghana, in Nigeria, South Africa, and Kenya. These are local, indigenous based of those countries. People who graduated from their universities, they built their own websites, and they mapped where people are. If they cannot deliver a product to a specific address, they will say, for example, let's meet at PZ, 4 o'clock. You're going to see our blue vehicle is going to be there, and a lot of people are going to toe the line. They come and sign, and these people are, that's what people are doing. And that's what I haven't seen in Sierra Leone. So I don't know if there's anybody on this forum who can explain if there is something indigenous, locally built. See, this is where this forum is going to become very helpful for people who are entrepreneurs. We can see the gap. If people who got money, you can start something like this with 20,000 or 30,000 US dollars. You go over there, and let me tell you, Tom, you mentioned about Sierra Leone's are not entrepreneurial. I think it's the reverse. They are. So I don't know, but when I was growing up, the Fulani and the people, the Fulani and the Tamil, when I was growing up, these people would be around PZ with a tray of cola nut. Just maybe sometimes I wonder, what are they doing? It is their survival. But when we look at it, when I was going to school in the 80s, I used to laugh at the entrepreneurial ability, especially of the Fulani. So remember when we were little, we used to even sing a song, and these people were so perseverant. Now, they are pretty close to the Lebanese to take over the whole economy of Sierra Leone. So the possibilities are there, but what we need is the educated Sierra Leonean. If you have the capital, you can go and harness these local people, bring them together, and you build your platform and say, you know what, I can help you to sell your products better, instead of you just standing in PZ on the hot burning sun every day. You can stay home. Just tell me the product that you have for the day, and I'm going to use my investment of $30,000 or $50,000. I'm going to buy some vehicles, some bicycles, some motorcycles, and I will just bring all of your product to my central warehouse. That's what Amazon is.
Right.
People don't understand. That's what Amazon is. Grab all these local businesses in the United States and say, you guys, come house all of your products in our warehouses, and we're going to keep them safekeeping for you. And when people order, we're going to train our staff, and they're going to go into the shelf and pack all of these really fast, and we're going to use some of our vehicles and deliver them for you. And in return, Amazon gets a fee.
Right.
Can you imagine if somebody who has the time, who knows the local dynamics, go in and put that into action? That is where job creation is going to happen.
I hear
Not the one where people who can order from Amazon, but we need to build our own.
I hear you very well. Well, it's not any point about, I'm not trying to, it's not like I'm arguing. I very much believe in what you're saying. But you remember I said the average. So we have exceptional cases like the Fullers, as you rightly mentioned, the Timneys. But I mean, just take for instance, you have I might need to check the last census to confirm this fact. But we have like, I think 13 tribal groups of tribes in Sierra Leone. We're only talking about really 2. In each of these other tribal groups, you have few individuals here and there who break out of the mold, who might be able to be people who venture into endeavors. I mean, like I just mentioned, I have been doing business since when I was in high school. I will make donuts and give to my younger sister. Interestingly, till today, me and my sister are still doing business because I would make, when I was in high school, every time I went back home, especially when I was in like from 4, from 5 after O levels, I would go back to Bonds and I would just do different things. I would make donuts, put them in plastic, those water plastic bags, and give to my sister, and she would take to school and sell to our friends in school and make some money. Well, it was not much, but at least we had something to supplement whatever our parents were doing. So I have been in business ever since, and I always believe in, and I know someday I'm going to be a big business. But I'm saying we have very small breakout numbers among people in that category. But out of 13 or so, out of 13 tribal groups, if you have only two tribal groups that you can really see, you constantly find doing business, the Fullers and the Timis. So it tells you that what I'm saying really is that we have few, but it's not the mindset of the majority of people.
You're right.
People want to go to school, get a degree, and then go sit in an office and wear tie. That's typically the trend.
And that's where I come in with the next, and that's what e-commerce is about. Mm-hmm. So let me tell you about e-commerce platform. You have the normally people who involved in petty trading. These are the less educated, and I don't know, when I was in Sierra Leone in the 80s and the 90s, the Fulanis and the Temne are less educated people. Mm-hmm. You know, I don't know if that has changed. Mm-hmm. And for them to survive, they are involved in petty trading. But then when I was growing up, you have the Mende who are mostly educated high school diploma, and a good percentage of them with college degrees. And what Tom just mentioned about when people get those degrees, they just put on their tie and they want to go sit in a big office, and that's it. Well, if we look at in the United States, people who have those technological educational degree behind them, they just don't want to go sit in an office. They become entrepreneurs. What can I do with what I've learned? So people who have a degree in IT, they started building platforms. They look for donors who will come and invest and say, hey, I have this idea. Do you want to come? Let us make a joint venture. Right. That's how people started doing. And that is what is lacking in Sierra Leone. Most of us were educated. We just want to go sit in that big office, or we want to go into politics. And that's where we need to open up the eyes. Sierra Leoneans can do it, but people who are there just have to have that mindset. I don't want to go into politics right now. I don't want to go sit in the commercial banks or all of these banks. You know what? I'm going to design my own platform. I'm going to get on the ground, talk to people. I'm going to form organizations, bring all of these people together who are standing in the hot burning sun just to sell something equivalent like $5 or $10 a whole day, where I can make them, so they will go find something else to do, and I will market their product. That is what is missing.
Yeah, in addition to what you're saying, there's a lot of mistrust. Firstly, you are saying like coming together as a team. You understand? We have experiences where people have come together and there have been, issues. But the very fact, even like in the Western world, as Sierra Leoneans or Africans, normally we even find it difficult to come together and, raise up a business. We all want to do it individually, and sometimes we are not as strong, we are not as powerful to do it on our own. So from what you're saying, it makes a lot of sense. So we can even think of, beginning to, come together as a team, come together as a people, so that we can work together. But that's the high end. But even the lower end, because of so much illiteracy, you give somebody, probably, I don't know, like you said, becoming caravan box, the way they are doing it in Freetown. But imagine you say you gather those boys in the streets and you give them something, because of the high illiteracy, they are just thinking, well, I don't get me home for today. I go eat and forget about that. You understand?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's quite a challenge. It's possible, it's doable, but it's quite a challenge. And again, our communities where we are very lazy. You understand? People just want to sit down at home, or maybe, like you said, sit down in the office. But if we come together and really get serious people, I believe we can make progress.
Yeah. So to wrap this part up, so we can tell that for the e-commerce companies we have in Sierra Leone, they are basically trying to to bypass all of the challenges for people. That's their operational model, where you go in and enter what you want, and they go in onto their US office and put the shipping destination is their warehouses in the United States, you know, and they will collect all of them until they are up to a container or more, and they put them in the high seas, comes to Sierra Leone, and then they get those containers out, you know, from the quay, and then they deliver those items. So it is more on the consumption side. So we all know, unless somebody knows something else, it is more on the consumption side. So now that we know that for sure, what recommendation can we give to a potential investor, to the government, to the average individual up there who wanted to do business at a bigger level?
Let me ask a question, Brother Foday, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Just to hash out a little bit more the last point we were making. I don't know if we have any practical ideas, because as we're talking, I'm thinking of how can we do, because I really like to be a can-do person. Can we do this? How can we? I'm thinking, I don't know if we have ideas that we can float out as to what practical ways we can make some kind of model of e-platform for the local. For example, I mean, we have the Lebanese people, we have even some of the Fullers, especially the Fullers. And interestingly, even most of these Lebanese people didn't go past Form 5 or SS3 now. Most of them. Yet they will jump into business, and give them a few years, they are the ones who are controlling the economy. They make more money than most of the rest of the population of Sierra Leone. The same thing with our Fuller brothers and sisters. But I'm thinking, most of them, like you are saying, some of us are way more educated. We have a lot more experience than some of them in terms of other things you can do, buying and selling. I'm thinking of practical ways that we can make the kind of model that Amazon is using work. So they bring their products into a warehouse.
No.
Yes. Maybe somebody has an answer.
Yeah.
Oh, that was Vandy talking in the background there. Okay, yeah. So that was my question. Is there anybody who has some answers, some practical ways that we can make this work? That we can actually say, if people have their products, the Lebanese have, some of them are into electronics, building materials and stuff like that. How can we get them to bring together, you know, any practical ideas? I don't know.
Well, first of all, bringing people together in Africa, in Sierra Leone in particular, is tough. Look at what is going on in politics. Also, that's the same thing going on in business also. Bringing business people together. Some businessmen and people like the environment where it is, because they maximize their profits when people are less informed. The less informed people are, you can buy a product from China at $5 and you can put it on your shelf in Sierra Leone for $50, you know. So some people like it to be manual. So in order for us to bring all of those business people together, you need regulations behind it. And in terms of regulation is, if you become a member of this new kind of direction that we want to put in place to spur up e-commerce in Sierra Leone, when you file your taxes, you know, as at the end of the year, you know, we're going to give you 20% off, you know. And then for people to become part of something, they need to benefit. That's how the world works anywhere you go. You can't just speak like that and they follow you. you need to let them know that this is what you're gonna get. They gotta get something. So, and we talked about regulation the last time, and what the government institutions, like the Sierra Leone Chamber of Commerce, they can play a role. Like the Bank of Sierra Leone can play a role. The biggest people who can play a role, the micro lending industry in Sierra Leone is exploding. That is e-commerce right there. Providing money to people, and those people, they are providing money, so they are doing business. I said, you're gonna come register your business now with Tom's company, who is an e-commerce. So it's a whole lot of networking. It's all you need, somebody who has the time to go down there and has the money and inspire people. If you can inspire people, there's a lot of business opportunities right there, Yeah. Seriously, that's what just think about it. Jeff Bezos was able to go around the United States and said, no, guys. So you don't have to use your money and rent the warehouse. I will give you warehouses for free. Come house your. So the word free has an opportunity cost.
Right.
The opportunity cost is that businessman who used to pay like $250 or $500 a month for lease for warehouse is not incurring that cost anymore. That has been absorbed by Amazon. Right. So you got to give something for people to come to you. Right. So if you want to go do that, I would say just go to the library and go online, started reading a lot about Amazon. You will be able to replicate that out there, but you still have you need money for you to get that done.
Yeah. Okay. That was wise. I mean, that was a lot of information right there.
Yes. So what recommendation can we make, to improve e-commerce in Sierra Leone? So we already know that the kind of business model for Caravan Box, it's mainly to bypass the challenges and provide quality products to people in Sierra Leone. But so our recommendation to Caravan Box is now that is working. You are tapping on the United States market, because all of their products are coming from the United States, or maybe some of them from China, I don't know. Now, if I would have been the CEO of Caravan Box, I will look at my financial statements each year and said, what is our cash flow? How many money can we set aside? We're looking at future investment. How can we take a lead? They are taking the lead right now in Sierra Leone. But if they just do that, they wouldn't be in business for a long time, because somebody will come and outrun them who can do that bigger. And the profitability is not in buying and selling products from the United States back to Africa. Buying and selling amongst Sierra Leoneans, villages to village, towns to towns.
Right.
Just imagine the GDP of Sierra Leone is between $5 to $7 billion. If you can tap into 20% of that, it's bigger than what Caravan Box is making. But you need people who has connections, who open-minded, non-partisan, who will be able to survive when one government moves and another one comes in.
That's right. That's right. There you go. Because and you just nailed it right there, because it's the thing about Sierra Leone is everything quickly gets politicized to the extent where that guy that's doing that business right there is a Konoma. Don't you know he's affiliated with that party, and that before you know it,
and they're gonna kill your business.
They're killing it. They're killing it. That person is actually doing something that's providing service for the country. He doesn't care about color. He just wants to provide service for people, and they are going to tag him that he belongs to that tribe, and therefore he has so and so, and so he's he's a member of that party. And so when the other party or whatever other party is in power, before you know it, they're finding a way of killing his business.
So, so how do you overcome that? You know, for some of you who want to go do this kind of business in Sierra Leone, how do you overcome that? Every country has its own DNA. Every people has their DNA, and you need to go above the fray. So, and how does that happen? Look at the example in the United States.
Okay.
Most of these companies, they give equal money to all political parties. That's what people do, you know. And if you are a businessman and you know that election is coming up, this, you know, because I work in corporate America, you know, so people just give money to the Democrat, to the Republican, you know, just like that. So by that, you have that perception that I'm a businessman, you know, and the reason why I'm giving you money, so eventually you guys will pass regulations that will be favorable to my business, you know. So if you do that, if you can put that veil that the masses have, party colors, whether it's green or red, if you said, hey, I don't care whether you're green or red, people are people. Anyone who comes to that seat of power, I want to influence that guy to make sure that he or she doesn't kill my business. That's what lobbying is about, guys.
Right.
So if you want to go do business in Sierra Leone, you know, for me, I come from the Mandingo tribe. You see, I'm proud of where I come from. I will tell people, hey, I'm a Mandingo, or you can say, I'm a Mindi, or I'm a Timney, you know. But you know what? I'm a businessman. I will give money to the APC, to the SLPP, because I want a continuation of government that is favorable to my business. That's the definition of lobbying, guys. And that's what Sierra Leone indigenous people didn't figure out that yet. There are only two sets of people in Sierra Leone who have figured that out: the Lebanese and the Fulani. They give money on both sides. The Fulani will give money on both sides. They don't care, because at the end of the day, they will be winners. Even if that party wins, they have people there. If that party, that is business, you know.
That's very correct right there. Like I said, I have been doing business on the fringes. You know, it hasn't reached any very. It hasn't been known, but we encounter these guys. When you meet these guys, how aggressive they are. The Lebanese, the Fulans.
Oh yes,
they are so aggressive. They can practically do anything to make sure they buy their way into the system.
Oh yeah, you know, let me give you an example. You know, I am in another forum, and one of my Fulani friends, we both went to high school, you know, from Form 1 all the way to Form 5. He was in UK, and now he lives in Brazil, and he is working on cell phone towers in Brazil. I'm like, how did you do it? You know what he told me? We are entrepreneurial. We can go anywhere and be business people.
That's great.
Oh yeah, yeah. So.
Well, but that's good. Like you said, regulations. You know, we really, as a government, we need to come up with regulations to help the entrepreneurs. You know, setting up platform. They need to be protected. You know, generally the economy needs to be protected. Entrepreneurs, but things like that, we need really strong regulations. Otherwise, it's a challenge.
That's where the lobbying come from. Companies gonna make sure that in the United States, remember the United States government, the legal system declare companies as people. So remember, it was a few years ago. You know, if some of you, so that means companies have rights, just like flesh and blood. You know, that means as a company, you have the right to survive. You know, the longevity of a business. So when you started thinking that way, then it doesn't matter which party comes in power. You're gonna make sure that, and these parties, for them to survive, they need money. As long as you give them money, then eventually they will be able to secure your interest, you know, when they are in power. That's the definition of lobbying right there. You know, so I think this e-commerce topic that we're talking about, I will recommend for Impact Nation 360, Pastor Tom. You know, I know that one thing that you can do, you know, when you go into Freetown, into Sierra Leone, with the blessing of God, is you don't have to go do some businesses right there. But you know what? You can start setting up workshop, educating people. When people know that you have their interest at heart, they will submit themselves onto you. By that I mean, in terms of submission, then when they know that you seek their interest, then you know you wanted to create this kind of organization where you seek their interest and their platform and e-commerce. All of them gonna come to you, you know. But you want to educate them. You want to tell them that, hey, you know, forget about politics. Forget about the guy who is in power. Your business is your survival. Because if you want to build a generational wealth from your time, you want to pass on that wealth to your children. You know, you want to take a middle road where you have to take this veil of party colors off and focus on business. And when Sierra Leoneans started thinking about business, then that's when civilization will spur up. Startups will boom, you know, and somebody just got to go there and inspire people.
That's right. That's right.
What we need.
That's right. That's a very good one. That's a very good recommendation right there.
So anybody gets any more recommendation? Anyone on the panel?
And this Sierra Leone group.
Sister Isaac's microphone is off. Josephine is on. I see some people have gone off.
Hello.
Well,
I'm on. Okay. Sorry, I was in practice. Just the issue.
Okay, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were just asking about if there are recommendations we can up to, especially for those of you who are on the ground in Sierra Leone, to be able to bring up any recommendations that we can take on board as a group or as an organization.
I think for what I'm thinking is there is need for networking collectively. If this is going to really happen, Tom has got passion for business, which is obvious. Foday is in the corporate world. You know, you only need to identify somebody who is an IT kind of IT savvy kind of person, and you now, if you've got all of these people, you now need somebody on the ground who understands the Sierra Leonean kind of business environment. Having gotten these people, then it's a matter of sitting together, you know, and brainstorming and seeing where do we start, you know, because some of these things, in as much as you will have the passion to do it, you cannot do it all alone. You need other people to like stand with you, and you may not necessarily share all the ideas to them in your first meeting or things of the sort, but just try to identify the people that you think you can work with, and then start discussing this business, then you can see the potential, and when it's the right time for you to launch into this. Because if we just discuss it here and then leave it like that, it will soon die down. But if we start having the discussions, then I believe it might trigger some kind of interest in it, and there are potentials out there. And also, if we can try to get the government to promote Sierra Leoneans in business, that will be another kind of step. Because if we want to do it, and then people who are in business now, let's say the Lebanese guys, they see the kind of potential that you've got in the game of business. They may even try to go and use the authorities to frustrate your efforts. So it's also the business of the authorities trying to believe in Sierra Leoneans that we should take this game head on and then bring things up which can compete with these guys. Because it's no good for them to be the ones on the high streets and siphoning all the cash. Like Ali pointed out, terrorist financing is a big stuff. So if they are from Lebanon and things of that sort, and they've got the Hezbollah and things of that, if they know them, then they will try to blacklist them. But if these guys don't know that you are coming up and you are a potential threat in the business, one of the things they will try to do is to get you out of business. So we also need a backing, or like the political support, that should be the case, so that they will know that these are Sierra Leoneans entrepreneurs who are planning to bring something that is not like something that is new, or which is a greater opportunity for the country. And if they are to support or buy into what we're trying to do, then I think that should be a good place to start. Yeah. So
guys, it looks like most of the people who have been talking more are males. And this is being recorded. We don't want to look like a male-dominated session. So I know we have Isatu, we have Josephine, we have Oshonia. Can we get some contribution, please? Are they on? Any one of them on? Okay. Well, we tried. Yes. Okay. So and one area we I wanted us to look at is that one of the some of the advantages of e-commerce in a small economy like Sierra Leone. If you do it as an indigenous based e-commerce, it starts from the people itself. It creates jobs, create a lot of other companies, other business people, startups, and then when you have those startups, this means most likely e-commerce startups companies in a third world country, they tend to go towards manufacturing base, look for something that they can make, and then eventually we can put that in our platform that will find its way. Like how can we package like the ogie, and the last time I went to the store, I saw black soap. I don't know if some of you guys remember the soda soap. Do you guys remember that?
Yeah.
Soda soap. You guys remember that? I remember, as a kid, you have that long bar and they will cut it. There are so many of that where you have a packaging company, and then we can package those black soaps, those soda soaps, and there are so many things that we packaging. We can live according to the health standard of some of these countries that we can market, but we just need people who can do it.
Okay.
That's my sister's, that's my nephew right here. Jaden, you want to say
Hey,
hi?
how are you?
Say hi.
Hello.
Yeah, they are always curious. They want to come and show themselves on the screen.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Finally, you are.
Rescue us, Antiona.
No. Like you were saying about the packaging, the other day I went to like Macy's and I saw like a whole pack wherein they sell like, even you're talking about black soap and even this charcoal, what we call charcoal.
Charcoal, yeah.
Yes, they sell it in these places because they use it like for spa and all the rest of it. Those things, if we have people who package them well, definitely that will help us with our e-commerce as well. These are markets that have not been explored. If we try and if we explore some of these little things that we might term as little things, definitely, I'm sure somebody will be making millions out of it.
Yes. So the other area also, for me, I built my house, around the Waterloo and Campbelltown area. And so I don't know if you guys know about the moringa plant, moringa.
Sure.
Yeah. It grows naturally all across that place. The moringa plant. And the moringa tea is so expensive. See, there are so much opportunity there in Sierra Leone. Somebody who gets the time can go there, will be able to harness all of these things, these plants, that we have, process them and package them, and obviously you need capital, you need money to start. But I believe, in my mind, $30,000 is a reasonable amount for somebody to start something in Sierra Leone, and then package that and send that, to the United States. So let me give you guys an example. It was about 3-4 years ago. There was a guy. There was a man, Dr. Sharif, who he's a very educated man, and he happened to get come close to get a contract with a California-based makeup company, and all what they were looking for is palm oil. Palm oil was what they were looking for, not the processed one, but the raw products. So I remember he reached out to me, and I went, I flew back all the way to Sierra Leone, to my village in Karina, and I went, and then I talked to the chief, and then I was able to secure like 200 acres of land, because what these guys were asking for, because they would like about 80,000 barrels minimum each year. And I know for sure I have supply up to a year and a half. And they said, no, they just want to make sure that I have guaranteed supplies, of those barrels. But by the time we were about to solve that deal, this is something that will bring like $2 or $3 million. By the time we were able to solve that deal, then the gentleman who was an older gentleman who was supposed to go into this venture passed away.
Oh man.
Yes, so there are so many opportunities. There are so many products out there. And I remember when I was a kid, you drive around the Freetown Boat Panama Highway, you will see a lot of palm trees all over the place. So there are so many opportunities, guys. So many opportunities. Somebody just has to go there and start preaching. So you have the biblical preaching, but then you have also the business preaching. Somebody who can talk and have a passion for people.
That's right.
Not because you want their money, but you want to see them succeed.
That's right.
And normally, Tom, the reason why it's like I'm preaching to you, people who have a legal background can do that better. You have a legal background, you have a spiritual background, and you are an entrepreneur. When you fuse those three, there's a lot you can do, to help people.
Yeah, sir. I hear you.
Yeah.
Nice.
Thank you very much.
Praise God. Praise God.
Yeah.
Hallelujah.
Praise God for the motivation.
Yes.
Amen.
I believe this will not. Yeah.
Somebody want to say something?
Somebody wanting to talk. Okay. Go ahead.
Yes. If I could just come in, and as Brother Dean was talking about this moringa thing, we have it now here in Sierra Leone. They process it into this tea thing, like this tea bag
Okay.
thing. Yes, yes, and
See?
it's been
Somebody's
sold. Yes,
doing it.
yes, it's been sold around as tea bag, and people use it like
Okay.
to drink tea. Yeah, so
Okay.
it's happening here. Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's good to know. Good to know.
Yeah,
So you see, some of these things are already happening.
People are
Oh
are
yes.
doing.
Oh yes. They're
And
already happening.
even this black soap also, for I don't know for us Sierra Leone, but like for Ghana and other stuff, people are doing it and they bring it here for us to buy.
Because
This
they
look
are packaging. That's the only difference. They are packaging in Ghana and
yes, yeah.
to send it over across borders.
Mm-hmm.
So if we begin to
And
package it in Sierra Leone,
yes, and some of us here, some of us are also trying to do the same. Some of my
Moringa.
friends here, no, this black soap thing. That the natural, the local black soap, trying to process it at least for it to be much more nicer for people to be able to use it. Yep.
it's all about just the packaging, basically. Yeah.
Okay, I can see the Josephine displaying the moringa bottle.
Oh, look at it. Look at the moringa bottle, a bottle right there.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So imagine if somebody can do that, and then you need to package that in a bottle. That creates a lot of jobs. That creates a manufacturing plants to make those bottles. Then you have the labeling. So people who do stuff in marketing, art, and design, you create jobs, for those people. Then you have to warehouse. You have to store those products. People should be doing security around those warehouses. There are jobs right there.
And also for us, yes, and also for us the ladies, this ori, I know una sabi ori, right?
Oh yes, oh yes.
Ori,
The one they put
the normal local ori. Yes. So even for us the ladies, they process it now, like for our hair to grow that natural hair. Yeah, so it's been processed here too. So some of these local things, people process it for it to be much more. Yeah.
So it comes back to what we were saying at the very beginning. It's a question of there's a gap that is missing. There's a big gap that needs to be filled, and that gap, well, there are many gaps, but one of them is even the information gap, because I mean, here right now I can just Google, or I just go on Amazon. Just type anything, and if they have it, it will show up. Because many people, and let me tell you, 10, 12 years ago, because I remember when I was studying in Missouri, Amazon, for the most part, in those a decade and a little over a decade ago, much of what really people were doing, or most of what you find there are books, and it hadn't grown to today. Most of the time back then, a decade ago, and so it was mostly books. If you wanted, textbooks, used books, go on Amazon and you buy, instead of buying in the library, in the school's bookshop, and so that will be a little bit more expensive. Today, you can find just about anything on Amazon and eBay and stuff. So I think that gap, that knowledge gap, because some of the things you guys, and it was good we had you guys on from Freetown, to know that some of these things are happening, but people don't even know. Even Sierra Leoneans who are in country, let alone outside of the country, would know that these are things that are being processed now, not just the local ones that will be made. Local soda soap, yes. Local black soap that will be made in some village or some place, yes. But to know that in Freetown you can get processed in the context of packaged, having been packaged. You can get black soap, you can get soda soap, you can get something that is a local product, but it is well packaged so that I don't have to worry that if I'm traveling with it to the United States, it's going to mess up all my other clothing, other stuff in the bag. it's good to know that some of these things are happening. So even that knowledge, that bridging that, causing people to know what's happening in country. And like Komba was saying a moment ago, the issue of the goodwill. I know there's a goodwill in this government. I know that because I've interacted with people who have told me that, and they're not going out there to say it so much in that context, but the current leadership wants Sierra Leoneans to rise up, indigenous Sierra Leoneans to rise up in business. And so this whole thing about the Lebanese and other people groups suppressing local Sierra Leoneans and trying to kill their businesses, this particular government is really working hard to try and make sure that that is a thing of the past. But at the same time, they are not going to make out a policy statement to say that's what we're doing, obviously. They are not going to make, I mean, it's not going to be overtly done to appear as if they are really trying to make sure that they suppress that kind of oppression, business-minded or business kind of oppression from those who have been, because the truth is, it happens all over the world. Business people want to always crush competition. And it has happened that over the years, the Lebanese have been very successful in business. That's all they do. You hardly would see, you can count really practically few people who are of the Lebanese descent who you find in government or in the court systems and in those kind of places. No, they are just into business. But believe me, we will turn around and buy virtually everything from them. So they will do everything to make sure that the average indigenous Sierra Leoneans are kept down. But the government will not go out and say, no, we're making sure that doesn't continue to happen by way of a policy statement. But you just need to see that if you are into business, there is the goodwill from people, at least who are in the government. So we can harness those opportunities like we have all said. And it takes really some level of work collaboration. Somebody might have a little bit of money here. Somebody might have a little bit of knowledge or expertise there. Somebody might have, a little bit of networking and connection. If we are able to find a way of bringing all those together, which is really the other key thing, because the typical Sierra Leonean, believes that I saw, I don't know if it was Foday who posted that video. There's a video that was posted on our forum, on the Impact Nation forum, of somebody who would leave. The blacks are the only people who will leave.
Oh, yes.
They will leave, and that is so true. They will leave their black brother or sister doing business and go next door and buy to a Lebanese, buy to a foreigner. For some reason, they just don't trust their Sierra Leonean or their black brother. And it's not just limited to Sierra Leone. It's really happening in most parts of the world. The black, there's just something wrong with our psyche.
Let me give you another area for people who wanted to go establish entrepreneurial business in Sierra Leone. One reason why someone will leave a black guy and decided to go into a Lebanese store. So anytime I go to Freetown, I want to buy something or do business with my brothers and sisters in Sierra Leone, people who were born in Sierra Leone, and the customer service is so poor. Where you're doing business with somebody, and then even when they should value me as a customer, they will tell me, if they can come up before me. You know what I mean?
Exactly, sir. Exactly.
And that is so poor. When you go into a Lebanese store, they will court you. They will smile. They will give you water. They will give you a Diet Coke, or Coke, or Sprite. I remember, when I'm building my house and I'm going for construction material, as soon as this guy and as soon as I started talking, he knows that my accent is different. He just talked to the guy. Hey, give this guy a pint of Coke. He looks like he's thirsty. And then I said, how do you know? He said, I can tell, because so it is, so if somebody wanted to go build an organization, educating people how to treat people who come and buy things from you, they are helping you. It's not you helping them. In Sierra Leone, it's the opposite. The Sierra Leoneans think that, when they sell you something, they are helping you. And then, they will talk to you in any way. They will get that money, but then that customer is not coming back. They go somewhere else.
That's true. All right, we need to keep moving. Where else is our topic leading us?
I contribute a bit.
Sure.
You can go. Hello.
Yes, who is there?
Hello. Mr. Tom, I'm here.
Oh, hey, mommy, come back.
Yes, sir. I listen. I've been on there and I listen.
I hear you.
It's very interesting, very, very interesting topic. Hello, everyone. I'm just quietly sitting here, but I've been following what everyone is saying about e-commerce in Sierra Leone, and my only two contribution is about the Sierra Leonean populace in general, Sierra Leonean people, we Salo people. I think with my own little experience, even from UK and Sierra Leone when I was there, Sierra Leoneans are not they are not risk takers.
Okay.
They are not risk takers. The reason why I'm saying this, most of them is not that like few people are talking about information. I will tell you that there are so many informations that are out there, especially with local products that are going, because so many local products that are out there. But when you look at it, most of these local products that are being sold in supermarkets, like the moringa soap, the moringa powder, those things, and black soap and whatever, most of them are being produced by foreigners, like the Lebanese, even though they are Sierra Leoneans that have been based in Sierra. They are now Sierra Leoneans, but these are more or less foreigners. But the typical indigenous Sierra Leonean, you find out that, I don't know whether it's laziness or anything, like what my husband was saying previously. I just don't understand. You give a simple, a typical Sierra Leonean a little business to manage, they cannot. And we found out that there are so many examples. You have a Nigerian man or a Nigerian young boy opening a shop, and then they will succeed. You'll have a Fulani succeeding, you'll have a Lebanese succeeding. But if you give that same business to a Sierra Leonean, there is 90, let me say 80 or 70 to 80% chance that they will not succeed. The reason is why? Bad strategy. We are too over familiarity with people. We don't know how to apply customer service. We don't know how to apply the businesses. We don't know how to talk to people. Our attitudes are bad. There are so many bad things. Most people have talked about all this actually as I've been going on. But one main thing is risk-taking and trust. Sierra Leoneans don't trust each other. For a long time, I've been in a Sierra Leone organization, be it in church, wherein people come together and say, let's come together and put 5,000 and decide to buy a house. Everybody will talk, and nothing implemented. When you get frustrated, you start your own, then jealousy comes in. We've seen that, and I've been a victim of that, even in church. So the thing I'm saying, how best, because now it's not about talking about these things, how best can we apply them? That is the thing. As a group now, this is a wonderful group Pastor Tom has put forward. Has started, well, I don't know who started it, but I know he was the main man. But yes, so many people in your group, I've been listening to you guys, so many people in your group, as they are, you have lawyers, you have people in strategic position, you have people, so many, I don't know how I can say it, so many intellectuals in your group. But then, are we just sitting down to talk? What can we do? Forget about capital, because most of the time people, when you want to say anything, the first thing that they will tell you that they will start talking about money. Let's put 5,000, 10,000. And that's what I always tell people. It's not everyone that start business have money. You don't need to have capital to start a business. What you need is the information and the strategy. You walk into an office, they can give you a big loan of £50,000 if you want it. And I am a victim of that. Well, it's not victim is not the right word. I'm a product of that. I've walked into the bank, I want money, I have it there. You know. So, but I just don't know. To be sincere, anyway, maybe I can leave you here. But my main what I wanted to say is about risk taking and our strategy of doing business. That is my main point. Of course, Pastor Tam talked about the government and everything, which has been a long-term problems because government weren't helping indigenous people. But we thank God for today. We've started seeing a light at the end of the tunnel with President Bio trying to get indigenous people to come forward. But then as a group now, as IN360, I think that is a ball in your court. And that's something we have to talk about. That's something we have to, it's not all about preaching the word, like what this thing that you've come up with, what can we do? Even if it's not doing, even if it's like an information center, you guys can open to inform people to, you know, I just don't know. Anyway, I'll leave you guys there. God bless you.
Is she running off to work?
No, I'm not running off. I'm sitting here.
Oh, okay, okay. I thought you were running off to work. Guys, let me thank you. Thank you for
what Mrs. Comba just talked about is the new product information.
Right.
We are now in the period of artificial intelligence, cloud technology, social media, and blockchain technology. All of these things are the future currency of the world is who can control, you know, the zeros and the ones, the data, you know, the zeros and the ones, who can control that in the future, you know, will control the world economy. And that's the race going on right now between the United States and China and Japan. Artificial intelligence, blockchain technology. So I don't know if you guys listened to one of the speech just from the State House, where the president was saying, the president of Sierra Leone was saying that he would like to use blockchain technology as one of the tools to solve problems in Sierra Leone. So I don't know if any one of you knows what blockchain technology is. You know, blockchain technology is the engine behind e-commerce.
The engine behind e-commerce.
It is the payment systems at the back that moves money from point A to point B. It is so secure that data moves from A to B, and it is a Jewish technology. And they have Seattle, where I live, is a big area for blockchain technology. I wrote a research paper about that 2 years ago, and I'm glad that leaders in Sierra Leone and Africa are using that buzzword. Nigeria is ahead of most of the countries, you know, when it comes to blockchain. And what that means, you have to bypass the brick and mortar company, the banks, the big banks. You know, when you want to do international trade, you know, do you guys know you have to do a letter of credit? You guys remember back to the school? You know what he taught us? So you have to go to the bank, you do a letter of credit, and you get it approved, and your bank send it to the other bank in Japan, and they put that on file, and then you can do your international trade. And then when the recipient of that product, the product is shipped from Japan to Sierra Leone, when someone in Sierra Leone receives that, then the bank release money. But now with blockchain technology, all of that wipes out of there. So there is the technology behind the blockchain is what we call DLT, distributed ledger technologies. you know, DLC. And DLC, if you guys know, that is where Amazon is spending most of its investment right now. So do you guys know that? So Amazon has a division called AWS, Amazon Web Services.
Yeah.
And AWS is investing a lot in blockchain and DLCs, you know, and eventually, which one of these giant e-commerce companies, and China too, is spending a lot, you know, Alibaba is spending a lot in blockchain and DLC. So this is going to make e-commerce on steroid, you know, and Nigeria is taking the lead. Nigeria and South Africa is taking the lead in Africa on that. And the president of Sierra Leone just mentioned that he would like to see Sierra Leoneans use blockchain to solve most of the problems we have in Sierra Leone.
That's good. Good to know that.
Mm.
Good to know that. I think I like I said, this could not have come at a better time. I am very thrilled to be learning so all of us. Every one of us so far has made very brilliant contributions, very brilliant points that we're learning in this particular meeting. But like somebody just asked, so I think it was Sister Komba who brought the point. It's now going to be a thing of taking it from just talk, at least insofar as it has to do with Impact Nation. We may not be able to do everything that is being talked about. Some of us, I would say for a fact that I have always been. I mentioned earlier that from as far back as when I was in high school, never even knowing about some of the technologies that are in the world today, but I just knew that just the buying and selling mentality takes you far if you stick with it and if you continue with it. So the question of us now saying, how do we harness all of what we're saying into tangible realities, is going to be our challenge going forward from after this meeting today. I am one person who I make no light of it. Anybody who has been around me for a little bit of time knows that I have always said that somehow, some way, it just happens that things happen in life that I find myself in the United States. It's not one of those things that you will say, I am there because I see America as the be all and end all of life. But I had to, life is in stages and phases. So I had to be at a point in time, and I'm there at the moment. But it's not one of those things that I believe will go on for a long time, because there's so much opportunity in our country today. There's so much opportunity in our country today that many of us sitting in these so-called first world countries and doing stuff that some of us know that we could do better, should be thinking about different ways that we can go back and do things that others would be able to do, but maybe we can do even better. And that's really where I see. So most of what we're talking about right now, we just want to continue to make sure we fund the energies, we build up the momentum, so that when we are doing it, it's not going to be, that doesn't mean that whatever we're going to be doing is going to be easy. We have already shown, it's already been shown even just between 2017 and now, that even with Impact Nation, it's just the same as in every other endeavor. You will not expect it to go easy, but the truth is we can always, we will surmount the challenges and keep going. But I believe that it is the time for Christians, it is the time for us, and it is not by mistake that God has brought Impact Nation together. It didn't happen by way of somebody sitting down and actually mapping out a strategy to say, I'm going to form an organization. I would say it really happened by God's design. And so now that this is happening, we are going to be asking ourselves, so what next can we do to harness some of these beautiful conversations that we have had, especially over the last two meetings, this one and the last, to be able to take it to a point where at least we begin to empower one another to say, hey, even if it means spurring somebody up and say, that idea I heard you talk about some time ago, why don't you take it to another level? Or this particular plan that you have had, that you've been working on, why don't you network with so and so people and take it to another level? Or these studies that you wanted to do, and we know that if you graduate with that degree or graduate with that certificate, you're going to be very influential in helping people. The other day I was talking to somebody, I was saying, you are going to be one of the few unique people who has this kind of class of degrees, especially among women. It's not so common. But I mean, maybe if you take it to another level and run for a particular office and see how, those kinds of things, we want to see how we can engage ourselves going forward. I particularly have had a lot of challenges, especially this year. It's been very, very challenging for me. But at the same time, in it all, I just know that it's because the devil has seen what is coming. The devil has seen what is coming, and so he wants to break my back, and so that I just give up and sit down, and then whatever else could have come out of this collapses. But by the grace of God, I know that with all of us on board, because the fact that we have even kept going, when at some point I really felt like I was being battered from all points, and I just couldn't concentrate on doing this when, for example, my wife was sick and I had to be running from one hospital to the other or one appointment to the other and stuff like that. But we can do this. We can do this. We can do this, and we can do even better. We can do even more. For me, just the fact that we can even be talking, learning so much. I am learning. I'm taking down few jottings, but we're also recording, and I'm going to post this on YouTube. This and the last one. I really hadn't found time to download and post on YouTube the last one, but I'm going to work on both of them together, hopefully. So that, I mean, you can always go on our website and are able to listen to it, or go on our YouTube channel and are able to listen, even for somebody who may not have had the chance of attending this discussion. So as we continue to wrap up, even with recommendations that we can bring forward, it could go beyond today's meeting. We can always bring ideas up, and please let's feel free to continue to share ideas, continue to network, continue to nudge one another. I mean, to be honest with you, there are moments where we all are susceptible to various issues of life, discouragements. I mean, if you have been troubled by other issues of life, the tendency to give up or to go slack or go easy on some other things that are maybe in your scale of preference are of less importance at that point in time, it's just natural. But the more we all encourage one another, the more we all nudge one another on, the better it will be for us. So I didn't intend to wrap up the conversation, Brother Foday, you are still in charge. I just felt that it was important to say that, so that we all know that we look up to one another to take it to the next level.
Oh yes, just like our last sister was saying about some of these products, that we have in Sierra Leone, they are actually made by the Lebanese or maybe a Chinese in Sierra Leone. And somebody posts on our forum about Jumia. I don't know who posted that video, about Jumia, the e-commerce giant in Africa. Yeah, and I did some quick research, and then I found out that the people who created that company, they are Germans. The investors and the shareholders are Germans, and they pay taxes in Germany, and their e-commerce research, the company that builds their platform, is in Portugal. And their corporate headquarters is in Dubai. And they employ about. So the only big thing that I got out of the research, they employ about 5,000 Africans. Most of them are in Nigeria. Their second corporate headquarters is in Nigeria. So they always see themselves. They publish themselves as a Nigerian-based African company, but actually their corporate headquarters is in Dubai. and they registered their company in the New York Stock Exchange, and they make a lot of money because they figured out these German guys who figured out how things work in Africa. They went in, they started really small, and they surpassed Amazon, Alibaba in terms of customer base, you know. And I just told you guys about the stats where they have a 4.3 million Africans using their platform. Alibaba has 4.2. They just outrun Alibaba, you know, by just 100,000 people, you know, and they're getting bigger. But the thing is, they are having they started trading on the New York Stock Exchange. And when you go onto the New York Stock Exchange, you have equity capital, you know, that you raise. They have way more money there than even what the Africans are buying, you know. And that gives a lot of massive wealth to these few people who own that company. And now some people are complaining about their ethics, about their authenticity, whether it's a real African-based company. And this is where we Africans, whether it's Nigeria or not, now those who are in Nigerians, the lady who's the CEO who manages the company, she's well paid. She's selling it as an African company, but that's what I mentioned about consumption and production. All the money is being transferred from Africans to Germany. So we need an indigenous African company, African e-commerce company. If some of us who are on this forum can start something like that, starting bringing local people together and having the support of the government, and you never know, these companies will become a multi-million-dollar companies with headquarters in Sierra Leone, owned by indigenous Sierra Leoneans. That would be good.
Sure.
Yeah.
That is very, very motivational. Very motivating. Just ended it there.
Yeah.
That's very, very, very motivating. Well, we've spent this much time. Again, I don't know how you structured it. I know this much has been very beneficial. I don't know what else you had on your plate in terms of how the program was rolling. Was there something else you wanted to go into, or?
Not that much. You know, the way I designed it, you know, when I talked about the James, I said, I'm going to make this a conversational thing where we just talk more about Sierra Leone and business. Because the thing about this e-commerce is not only to provide guidance to maybe the government, but how do we inspire amongst ourselves? That's how I took this.
Okay.
And I think, you know, the way how I see everybody was participating, part one was more too technical about definitions and structures that some of us even forget about it. But what we do here today, some of us have ideas what kind of business we want to do, what we want to do a few months from now. I think that is a better way, you know.
That's right. I hear you. I agree with you. Yes. The first time it was more, but it was good too because it laid the foundation.
It was good, yes.
The technical information and knowledge, and with Ali coming on, and you and James bringing on some of the information. But today, like you rightly said, today has been more practical, more talking, conversational, bringing real flesh to what is relatable to the things that are happening in Freetown, in Sierra Leone. I love to see. I would love to see in a few months down the road, in a few years down the road. I love to see, because we still have a lot of problems. If I wanted to send something goods to my village in Bones or in Moyamba, you know, it's going to be a headache thinking of who is going. Who I have to find somebody going from Freetown to Moyamba or to Bones, or for us to be able to say, okay. And in fact, it's practical. That's what we do. Every time my sister is in Freetown, she would be the one I would say, keep looking for somebody. We have a particular uncle who happens, or a brother who happens to be going regularly up country. So we would always target when he's going. You either give him something, even as small as a mobile phone. The other day I wanted to send a mobile phone to one of my relatives, you know, whose phone had gone up, I think was stolen or something happened. you always have to wait for somebody to take it. Whereas if we can get a company where you can crisscross the country, it's such a small country, really. If you compare it to even California, it's such a small country.
Yes.
You can get a company where people can crisscross that country on very good motorbikes. Agreed, they may not be able to carry that much of goods at a time, but just the ability to say there's a company that you can buy a product, and they can get it for you even to the farthest part of Sierra Leone. They can get your product there, and you can be sure. I mean, how awesome would that be if that can happen in a short time? So
my recommendation to Impact 360, as an organization is for the board of directors to look at these two videos and said, what certain things can we add on to the objectives of Impact 360? If Impact 360 wanted to be a pioneer, and the board of directors will talk about it and then say these are things that are feasible that Impact 360 can do as an organization. And then these other things are things that are good for Sierra Leoneans, but we have Christian brothers and sisters in Impact 360 that we can coach as entrepreneurs, that they can go and do this.
Right.
Impact 360 as an organization should be more focused, as the organization should focus more on the sensitization.
Right.
Where you guys can raise funding, and then you started just educating people. Right. And then you can use the members of Impact 360 who have entrepreneurial abilities and said Impact 360 as an organization can be your mentor. By mentor, I mean that there are so many of us that they can tap from what we know and said, okay, you wanted to go do this in Banff, you wanted to do this in Tonkolili, you wanted to do this in Connaught, and we will be behind you. We will provide you the moral, the academic, and the business experience support, so we can help you to run that business. And if we see all of this is viable, some of us can help you to raise funding.
Right.
How to do private equity, how you can create a partnerships, amongst your fellow Christian brothers, where you have these business model that and at the same time see how that can benefit the organization of Impact Nation 360. That's what you guys should be thinking about.
Brilliant. I think it would, as always, it would seem we can go on for another hour or even but we have to stop. We have gone 2 hours about that, so we have to stop. We have to wrap it up here, and hopefully, and by God's grace, take some action steps after this meeting. Like I said, it has been a very hard, back-breaking year for me, but nonetheless, we have other very good people who have been really stepping up and helping out, and so I count on their support. I count on all of you, every one of us, including Foday and James and Sister Kumba. Sister Kumba, by the way, sent her apologies. She's attending a family function in Kenema, and she says her internet connectivity is not great out there, so she couldn't join the meeting today. She sent me an excuse to pass on. So